Movie Podcast, episode number 13-7. Yeah, how about that?
Oh, my Lord. 13-7.
Yeah. I figured why not. I thought about it. It sounds like a good football score, too. 13-7 at the half. Omaha. And we're talking about sons today. Good sons, bad sons, and the sunshine of my life who are right in this area here. So
Watson.
We got B, we got C. Yeah, him too. Watson. And very special guest, finally making his way here. We've been talking about it back and forth for a little bit now. And co-host of the Friday Nightmares podcast. Now we've had his co-host twice. Now he's going to start to catch up. So the man himself, Mr. Smokeshow, Scott Crawford. Welcome, my friend.
Oh, thanks, guys. Thank you very much for having me on. I've been looking forward to recording with you guys for a long freaking time.
That should have happened earlier. Should have happened earlier.
Smokeshow in here.
I blame Brandon.
I love that nickname. I'm kind of jealous of that nickname.
The fumes from this fucking smoke show.
Yeah, I was like, be careful how much you inhale. You might die.
Honestly, that's got to be your line when you go. Like, just come into a room, kick the fucking doors open, and use that line. Smoke shows in the house. Yeah.
Should I do that? Should I do that when I go out on my first date too? Introduce myself as Smoke Show.
Oh, in the third person. Yes. Every room you go into. Like, you go into a restaurant, you do it into the restaurant. You go to the movie theater, you do it in the movie theater. You enter the theater, you do it in the theater. I want that would be.
Is there fire in here? Because man, there is a smoke show going on.
Smoke shows in the house, and that's it.
You should get a tattoo. Get a tattoo, like right so you can flex, and it can be like right here.
Yeah, get a big SS on your forehead. That would be awesome.
Make it cool looking too, kind of slanted a little bit. Like
get it slanted.
It kind of makes it look almost like a Metallica symbol.
Yeah, there you go. You look like a superhero.
Yes.
It'll just look like the lightning bolt between the AC and the DC, so you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. It works. I don't think there'll be any issues whatsoever.
Exactly. Hire a couple guys to film you 24/7, so you just look important. Like, they just follow you around, and you just, because then you won't feel as embarrassed by doing it. And then the girl that you're dating would be like, "This guy's somebody."
Why do you assume it's a girl?
That's true. He did volunteer.
I'm sorry.
He did volunteer for the to be the unofficial third date for Brandon after the dating game, because we couldn't get
volunteer. He won.
Yeah.
He had no
He's
contest
officially
yet. We're
the
gonna have
fluffer.
Contest. When
Scott
the
and I have been
borders
seeing
open.
each other for 8 months.
It's been a threesome. What are you talking about? I know it's been
true.
over 3. See?
You
True,
officially have to cut the balls.
Heather knows she's the third wheel.
Then that is also very true. I just want to nuzzle up inside Brandon's hair.
Yeah, I just want to lay in his beard. I want like a beard hammock.
I did shorten it though, so it's gonna be a little bit tighter space in there now.
No, it's not as much for me to hold on to and pull.
Oh, don't worry, I'll let it grow out, baby.
All right.
Wow. I almost want to jump into reviews right away.
I just want to jump into what?
Reviews? Yeah.
The longest intro in history. Last show to the shortest on the next.
Yeah.
Like, we need to cut this off now.
I'll just start grabbing Fangorias. I got 30 of them now. Here, look. Let's read this letter. Look.
We thought the intro when we had Lacey and Carly on was long, and then we trumped it last show.
We didn't think it was long with Lacey. We thought it was awkward. Oh, sorry. I meant long. Dave looks like he's
melting.
He's broadcasting from a like inside a mitochondria. It looks like the inside of a cell. I feel like I'm back in like middle school science class. All right. Like
It's
label.
the trippiest one I could find, thanks to you. That's what I'll do. Every week I'll have a different psychedelic one. I'll start adding my own, and it'll be different backgrounds for it'll all be trippy shit.
Next week, Scott's going to be my background. So Scott's going to look like he's still here.
Yes.
Yeah. Always
Get an
here.
up close picture of my beard.
So who's the funny one? Who's the funny one on the show, Scott?
It's Scott, but Heather thinks she's the funny one.
No, I think they're both. It's hard. They're like equally equally funny. The funniest thing that Heather's done recently is on that post that Jason Smith did, or I did, about me being on Jason Smith's show, and then Brandon chimes in about two virgins talking about women. I'm like, we both have kids, you idiot. And then Heather's like, I only see one virgin. And that's comedy gold. Just narrowing it in on you.
Gold because I'm calling two guys who have multiple children virgins. That's the joke of it.
I know what the joke is. I just found her response even funnier.
No, she came to me. She's like, "Did you see Christian? Thought I was so funny." I'm like, "Don't listen to fucking Christian. He's also Canadian." How many famous Canadian comedians do you know?
I wasn't
comedians.
I wasn't bribed. I wasn't bribed to bring that joke up again either.
Yeah, I was gonna say and I think Brandon hit his head because Heather is definitely the funniest.
I don't know though. I think it's even Steven. I mean, I've laughed equally amount, and I listen probably the most infrequently, and I say that honestly because I've said it on the show. I haven't really been listening to podcasts, and really one of the only podcasts I have been listening to is your show.
You've barely been recording podcasts, if you can call what you do record.
Too busy smashing VHS tapes. I got priorities here.
And actually, speaking of smashing VHS tapes, for one, loved the freaking video. But could you do me a favor, Christian? Could you do another smashing VHS tape, but instead of the VHS, use Brandon's face?
Yeah.
Fucking guys got
Look at
jokes.
this. I think you might be on more often. I love this.
Scott, did you tell him what?
It's Brandon's bar mitzvah video.
Scott's giving away a case of Flint drinking water today.
Oh.
Free poison for everyone.
Well, I was just watching that. Like, oh man,
What are you talking about, Dave?
What happened?
What are you talking about?
I forgot what I was going to say the first time. The second time I was going to say, sorry. The second time I was going to say, B, don't you have a giveaway today?
We have like 5 giveaways. We should probably do that at some point.
I can't keep up. I don't know what you do. You mentioned something about the giveaway, and then we went off on down a couple fucking roads. I don't know what we were doing with it, but I knew there was something coming.
John Rhodes?
How? Mr. Levi 501? The guy, you see he cut his mustache into a handlebar. Obviously, you could tell he likes Brandon because only a Brandon follower would do something that ridiculous. No, John, all joking aside, you look good, man. The only thing missing was a 10-inch cigar hanging out of your mouth. That would have made the picture perfect.
The big black cock hanging out of your mouth every other week. We've been on for 5 minutes. Scott's got pussy jumping in and out of his laugh.
It's going to happen all show, fellas.
He's the smoke show.
That's when you're the smoke show.
See? How do you like that? Wow. Whew.
See, this is what happens when you work with Heather. Your ego just gets shot right up.
Why is Brandon the way he is then?
I'm the only one who sees she's not that funny.
You know what makes it even better? It's maybe this is a Canadian thing, but I think it's comedy genius. You gotta laugh at your own joke. I'm king at this, and Heather does it as well, and she's got an infectious laugh, so you can't help. Like, she could not even finish the joke. She could be like, knock, knock.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for going with it, guys. Fuck.
Her laugh is so infectious, I had to get 2 shots of penicillin.
I want to at some point isolate her laugh and then put it in the background as a laugh track for our own show.
You don't need to. It's already there. It's already there. It's awesome. That would be great. But no, that's the secret to comedy. You got it. There's momentum. You got to build. We've said it here before. You can't not laugh at your own joke.
No, I'll say, like, I even chuckle at my own jokes most of the time, but most of mine fall flat, so I'm just the only one laughing.
It's good, though. You got to, like I said, got to go with it. Someone out there thinks it's funny. Well, I guarantee it.
Exactly.
Levi thinks it's funny.
Bye. They're on a fucking short name basis.
Bye.
Bye. This poor bastard. He doesn't even know he knows we exist, thanks to you.
He doesn't even care. It's fine.
Yeah.
We care. It makes it even funnier.
I hear you. He's still putting up pictures every day. I got this, I got that, and
I like that one of you brought up the guy who sniffs the VHS tapes, and it was the exact same guy I was talking about like a month ago or 2 months ago.
Oh, is that guy? Is he still in the group?
Who is he?
I'm not in the group anymore. I left because it was just ridiculous. But yeah, the guy posts videos and he pulls it out. He pulls it out and he sniffs it first.
Yeah, that's
part of his routine.
I remember from when I was in the group.
Yeah.
What?
Insane.
And he looks like a serial killer.
Yes, he does.
But nobody knows his name?
I think I know it, but I feel like I shouldn't shame him.
Yeah, no, you don't have to.
No, I just wanted to look it up. I was curious because I've never seen this.
I believe it starts with a V. It's
V.
Vi. It's Vi.
It's Vi. Is it Nikki V by chance?
It's Aunt Vi from.
No. He at least.
Fresh Prince and Vi.
I don't know what. I can't even comment on it because you're right. There's no real shame in it. He's just making the videos. He's doing his thing. He's almost like he's just like a victim by like connection, like guilty by association in a sense. Like he's not doing anything wrong. It's crazy. It's just crazy. Like you sniffing VHS.
He makes 10-second videos where he shows the tape he got. He takes his box cutter out. He cuts it, rips the plastic off, pulls it out, sniffs it. And makes a little face, and that's it. That's his videos.
It's so strange.
But it's strange to me, and it rubs me the wrong way.
It's strange to everybody, but my question to you is, and you're probably not going to have the answer, but how many hits does he get? Does he have followers? Are people into it? Does he get ad revenue?
Do you fucking think I give a shit about? I haven't looked 1 second beyond watching the video and going, that's fucking ridiculous. And then us talking about it here is probably the most energy. But that's it. I don't know. Literally those videos I think are I'm not in there, so I don't know. I think they're just posted to that group. So it would get like the whatever the normal hit rate would be in that group.
There's only one box I want to smell. High five. And it ain't a cut box. It ain't a cut box. I'll tell you that. Might be cut after I get through with it. All right, high five.
It's only one letter off as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. So that's what I want to know. If this is a success. Stupid shit is successful. Happens I've been saying it for years. Any idiot can make $1 million. I don't know what that says about me and the rest of us, but I mean, so many stupid ideas take off and people make money off it. And I always say, I'm like, how did this get so big? And I'm like, man, and I just can't help it. I'm like, like Jeremy.
In the shower this morning, looking down, going, "How did this get so big?" I know Christian Junior. I saw Christian smile. I'm like, he's thinking of Junior. I knew it.
And you can't not that's the saddest part of it. I have Junior in my mind.
Hey now, you're not the only one.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have Junior in your mouth. You don't have Junior in your mouth. You're all right.
It was tickling the back of her brain. Yeah, baby. Where is she? The wrench.
Where is the wrench?
I got a fucking hammer for that wrench,
Oh. She let you shower this morning.
My hammer. Oh. I'm gonna be.
Oh,
I don't
your
mean,
love hammer.
Yeah. No. I wouldn't. No. Oh, never.
I thought you were the Hellraiser.
Awesome. But this is what I want to know. There's success with things like this sometimes. Look at like people ate Tide Pods, and did somebody? I knew a lot of people were doing it, but was this started because somebody made a video and they kept doing it and it became a challenge? Did somebody have a million hits as a result, or is it just a bunch of people sharing that million hits? You know what I mean?
I think it's kind of a mixture of both. Because I think it's also kind of like right place, right time type situation with a lot of these trends. Like it just happens when something is going out of style and they're like, oh, something new. And it's ridiculous. Why not?
Yeah. But they get paid. See, this is like Jeremy always makes fun of me. And we talk about this and he talk about the Patreon. I talk about what I'm buying. And he always, he always makes fun of me about it. And he's supposed to be the people they bust his balls all the time. He's always trying to pinch a penny and he's Jewish and all that shit. So he puts up with a bunch of flack. So it's like my uncle used to say. I have this, and he's Italian, of course, and he used to tell me this. I'll tell you, he goes, the Italian will put the Jew to shame. That's what he told me. So people, it's not as advertised, but Italians are very fucking tight with their they pinch pennies till fucking Lincoln cries. Seriously, and they're always looking.
I
to
like
make a
that
buck.
saying.
Yeah, and we're always looking to make a buck the easiest way possible. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with hard work either. But when I see people getting all these hits on YouTube and they're getting ad revenue and this and that, and I'm like, yeah, I want money. And people, Jeremy makes fun of it with me, and I'm like, this is my response. Money means the most to the people that don't have it. That's how I sum it up. It's true. Maybe one day when I had a bunch of money, my endless pursuit, I would chill. But like, I can't help it. But when I see things blow up on YouTube or blow up anywhere, I'm like, well, if they could do it, why can't I? Or we, the podcast, for example, whatever.
You can, but it means videos? It really does. Yeah. Oh, look. Oh, we didn't make it all the way through this time. Fuck. But it's, I've lost my erection. The problem with it is that it's always the stuff like, A, you've got to be dedicated. You could do it, but it means that you've got to keep putting out quote unquote content, because what people call content nowadays, I'm like, oh my God, who knew I can unbox like a fucking toy and people would watch it. Who knew that would be a thing and whatever. But then you build this, and you can't just do one video. It's got to be multiple ones, and you build your brand, and you fucking have to, hey, subscribe to my channel. It's like a full-time, part-time job. It's a pain in the ass to do it. You kind of want it to happen organically. And sometimes someone might have one video that goes like, my buddy posted pug versus baby. It was literally his pug playing with his newborn at the time. The thing has gotten, I don't want to but I think over 1 million hits. He didn't make any, I don't think he made any money from it. I don't know that though, but he said people were trying to call him to buy the rights for it, to use it. He said he had to disable comments because people were finally saying, how dare you have your baby near the dog and all this stuff. He says it's crazy, but he did have one video that just blew up.
Get that fucking baby away from that cute pug.
Yeah.
I want a pug.
Yeah.
I would embrace it all, even the hate. Just like the more famous you are, the more hate you're gonna. But I said that to Lacey when she was on. She was talking about the YouTube comments and this and that, and it's just celebrities get hate all the time, especially like on Twitter and stuff like that. That's social media. So if you're big enough to get 75% love, 25% hate, I welcome it all. It's people are talking about it. People care about what you're doing. That's why I look at it. He didn't monetize apparently, but if
3.6 million hits. 3.6 million hits. I don't know. I didn't ask him. Pardon?
Man, how does he not have ads in his car? I watch videos sometimes. I was watching some yesterday, and ads popped up on their videos. They're 10-minute videos about a guy talking about a mini NES console, and I'm like, well, how the fuck? You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what got me started. I was looking at. I saw an advertisement. I have like the official mini NES. I forgot what it's called. The retro, whatever the one that comes with like 60 games, whatever it is. I got that one. It was the one that swept the nation at one point. But I see these advertisements on Facebook. I go to the marketplace a lot, and I see for $25 people are selling this one, and I didn't realize it's been out for 2 years, and it has 620 games on it. So right away, I'm curious. I'm looking into it. I go to YouTube. And I see maybe 3 or 4 or 5 videos when they're 2 years old. And I'm watching people, and they're talking about it, and they're talking about this and that. And it's like 10 to 15 minutes long. And they're showing you all the games as they scroll down. And yes, there are repeats and things. But I noticed that not one person, and if I would have been doing this back then, I would have said to myself, I'm going to be the guy that sits down and shows the person that's really interested every single one of those 620 games. I would make a thing of it. Here, I'm going to set up the camera, turn my computer around. I'm going to show you, even if it's for 30 seconds each. I don't care. I just want to see what these games are and how they look and, just get a feel. But nobody thought to do that. I'm like, man, that could have been something. I think anyone can make a 10, 15-minute video. But to make a 4-hour video showing every single game, I think that would stand out amongst the crowd. I don't know. Call me crazy. That's what I wanted to see.
All right, crazy.
Well, hell, you could have even broke that 4-hour video down into each single game being a separate video, too. Get yourself lots of downloads and views that way.
Yeah,
could you imagine?
620 30-second videos.
Yeah.
It would have been cool, but it's 3 years old now. I can't do it now. It's too late. No one's going to be looking at it. Well, it's true. It's not hot anymore. It came out a couple years ago, so people know about it. I am gonna buy this damn thing because I'm looking at it. I'm like,
my biggest hit on YouTube was I think 100,000 hits, and it was one of my worst videos. It was
I thought the biggest.
What were you gonna say? Like, get the joke out. Yeah,
I thought the biggest hit was the one that knocked that tooth out.
This fucking guy, yeah. Well, let's both take our hats off simultaneously.
Come on.
1, 2, 3, do it.
Look at that beautiful hair.
Wow.
It looks more tame now. Oh, look at him. Jim Croce meets Dracula.
If I could save time in a bottle.
He just needs to dye it red, and he would be Kyle from South Park.
That's what I always say.
Carrot Top.
He's different Kyle. Yep. 100% Kyle. It's great.
I want to nest in that hair.
That's great, man. I like that hair. I like my hair.
Okay, he responded already.
Yeah.
I asked if
people have hair.
Sorry, Scott. I'm sorry, I'm interjecting because I thought this was very interesting about the payment. And he says,
Yes.
I asked, did you monetize? He goes, not really. I was paid a couple of $100 for use on a clip show in 2010. Was posted in the early days of YouTube before it was lucrative. Yeah, I mean, I joined YouTube in 2006, I think, like right at the beginning. And there was things being watched, but it really became popular, I think, in 2012, 2013. It had the second wave, which is what built from the kids playing video games, the unboxing videos, Lego Kid, and all that shit. That, like, these kids, my son was watching Unspeakable. He loves watching Unspeakable. They've got like 2 or 3 channels. One of them is them playing Minecraft or Fortnite, and the other one is them doing like jackass stuff, but in the realm of their own house, where they're just doing stupid stuff, and people watch them, and they've got millions of subscribers, and they make, I think, 13 to 20 million a year. From that.
See? That's what I'm saying. Wouldn't you rather do that for a living? Stay home and freaking play video games? My God.
That would be a nice way to make money. That's for damn sure.
That's what I'm saying. I keep thinking.
I'm going to start my own channel, Smokeshow.
Christian, what's your best video? You were going to say what's your best video.
Oh, I'm sorry. I went off track. Yeah, it's horrible because it's horrible. It's a
Even his
parody.
best one is horrible.
It's a parody of American Ninja to the song American Woman. And I wrote these really bad lyrics. And I was sick, and my wife and my oldest daughter went away to her brother's wedding, and I had to stay with my youngest. It never came back after they heard it. And I was home with my sick middle child, and we stayed home for it, and I was like bored, and so I recorded this thing, and I think it was back in 2007, 2008 maybe, 2007 I think, and it's there, and it's horrible. Like, I can't sing. It's a bad cover
At least
version.
Most of your content is similar then.
Consistent. Yeah. If you're gonna crack the joke, you get the this fucking guy. Shame him.
Fucking stutter much?
I was thinking last night. I was having a conversation with my daughter. Do you think that they're gonna cancel Porky Pig because he stutters? Because that's offensive to stutterers.
To put a disclaimer.
My daughter and I have these. Well, listen, my daughter and I have these conversations a lot because she's a Generation Zer, and it's funny for her because her generation are the people that are known for the to be all about cancel culture. Now, she doesn't like it because it's overkill. She watches YouTube videos, and like every other video that's suggested for her, for the stuff she watches is about canceling. So she's like just fed up with hearing about it, is what it comes down to. So we have these conversations about it. And I was watching something the new Eminem video came out a couple of days ago. It's a new song, and he basically talks about, I'm not going to be done until you cancel me. There she is, Frankie Z. What, honey? Go ahead, speak. I
saw that video yesterday.
Yeah, you saw the video. So I was going to present that to you, but don't we have conversations all the time about cancel culture, right?
Yeah, it's... Can I voice my opinion here for a second?
Yeah, you're not going to offend anybody. Go ahead.
Cancel culture is the stupidest thing, unless it involves something really bad like racism, homophobia, whatever. But if it's over a simple joke on Twitter, it is the stupidest thing, and that's what everyone gets canceled for. I'm pretty sure, almost all the YouTubers had gotten canceled by Twitter, or, canceled, quote-unquote, but People still watch them. It's only like 2 people that get offended and decided, oh, I'm not going to support you because of this joke you made. Like, oh my.
I tell only my racist jokes on Twitter and YouTube, so I just don't understand it. I'm kidding.
This is the only talking racist jokes on Twitter and YouTube, so we can't understand it. Anyway, we do have these conversations about it, so I was like, yeah, will Porky Pig be canceled? Because I've been watching the old Looney Tunes lately because they're on HBO Max, and he stutters. And I wasn't saying it to make a joke. I was like saying it legitimately. Do you think somebody's going to say, because someone made a crack in the M&M feed, and they go, hey, is Elmer Fudd going to be canceled because he's too stereotypical dumb white guy? And then I started thinking about cartoons, and I was like,
it was Christian.
What
Who said what the who?
Cartoon could be canceled? And I'm like, Porky Pig stutters. All it takes is somebody to say, like a foundation or someone it's an insulting to people who stutter. So it just got me thinking. That's all.
Yeah.
Anyway, we don't want to spend too much time on cancel culture because that's a whole, it's a very sensitive subject, and we don't like to do that on this show.
You don't want to go down that road.
I think they should cancel Friday Nightmares.
We'll just keep doing it in a bunker then after that.
A bunker.
Well, here's what's funny. When the new Wonder Woman came out, although it wasn't the new one, it was the one that just came out in 1984 because it came to Max. My wife, I don't think she knew there was a Wonder Woman movie before that, because I don't talk about it. So she said she watched it, and I had no interest in it, So she watched it. I go, well, how was the Wonder Woman? And she goes, it was stupid. And she goes, this is coming from a black woman. She says to me, since when does Wonder Woman have an accent? And that's all. And I didn't even know the woman that played it had an accent. I knew nothing about it, I promise you. And I said, well, don't you see? I go, you of all people should understand this because everybody needs to be included. There was once a time when there wasn't black females that would be in this role. So now there's that. Now that means there has to be this. There has to be. It's never going to end now. But, I mean, you have to be cognizant of that.
Since when is Wonder Woman Jewish? I mean, it's a Jewish Wonder Woman we have.
She's Jewish too?
I thought she was
She's
from
Israeli.
Virginia.
She's Israeli.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman is Israeli. How about that, Frankie? Yeah. Anyway.
Where were you in the 40s? You could drop the ball on that one, Wonder Woman.
Good Lord.
Oh, wow.
But you saw the Eminem video? Yeah? Yeah. Did you guys see that new Eminem video?
I
No.
Was it
I just
peanut
seen it
M&M?
posted today.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Pretty
Peanut
cool.
or regular?
Peanut.
Unbelievable.
Pretzel?
All right. You can come back later. Come on. I'll see you in a bit, honey bunny.
No, let her,
care,
if
Frankie.
she can edit, get her to replace Christian.
If she could hear, I'd let her sit in more, but she can't hear what you guys are saying.
Yeah.
But,
Lucky for her.
Listen,
but that but that Porky Pig thing, it might happen. Who knows? Imagine if that happened. You couldn't see Porky Pig anymore. I don't know. I hope not. But whatever.
So, yeah, that'd be weird.
It would be weird, but these days, who knows? And it's funny because,
No,
like I said, it's all these Generation Z kids, apparently.
They'll change his
So-
name
Generation
before.
Pig.
They don't call him
What's that?
Stuttering Pig. They call him Porky Pig. So I think they change the name before they do the stutter. Because, yes, the stutter is his characteristic, but the fact that he's called Porky Pig, it might be like, slightly overweight pig. It might change his name.
Right.
Yeah,
It might be
or something.
offensive to fat people. Porky. Don't call him Porky. It's true. But they did take some of them down, because I'm watching all the old Looney Tunes, so they go far back. So we all know about they had those old Bugs Bunny ones when he was, wasn't he doing something with the Nazis, or was that Donald Duck? There was something going on.
I think that was Donald Duck.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Donald
think so,
Duck was
too.
a really well-known Nazi sympathizer.
Did he pretend to be or something for that? I don't know what the hell it was.
Hey, you can't fault him. I probably would have done the same thing back then.
Oh,
I don't
my
know.
God.
Either way, I can tell you this. I don't talk about anything, just like in real life. I don't talk about that type of stuff. My daughter's views do not reflect my own in any way about anything. She just has her opinions. Again, she's going on 15. I have strong opinions at that age, too. Of course, nowadays, they're too much in the know. Do you think I cared about the news when I was 15 years? I don't care about it now.
I know,
but
man. It's very true, though. This is.
Yeah.
It's good to a certain ultimately they should know and they should care.
Yeah,
but
that's
I agree. At 15, I was not caring about the news. I was, I threw in my Megadeth shirt, and I just hope that like if I asked that girl out, she'd say yes, or that I'd be masturbating that night. That's pretty much the extent of it.
Nerd.
Maybe if you weren't wearing that stupid Megadeth shirt.
Yeah. Megadeth, what a fucking nerd.
But they're so involved in that. Like when I was that age, I didn't know. I didn't care who the president is or what was going on or this and that. Now they have everything. They watch YouTube. They see this and this. All of a sudden, my daughter was rooting. You know what I mean? She was anti-Trump with only knowing what my wife told her and what my mother told her, which is fine. But I would tell her, I go, Frankie, here's what I want you to do before you start talking about presidents and politics and this and that. Get informed as to why people are saying what they're saying, what's the reason behind it. And everything. Don't just jump on the bandwagon. Again, I'm not a Trump fan myself, but I'm just saying I want you to be educated. Before
what if the band is Fish? Would you jump on that wagon?
I think he's already on that bandwagon. Look at his background.
Hell yeah, brother.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, dude.
I'm so
Thrifty,
sad.
man.
YouTube did something
so
weird,
sad
though.
about
It just stopped monetizing videos. That's the other thing. So your channel could have had monetized videos, and then they went through all these new user agreements and whatnot, and then I just got emails like last year saying this channel and that channel, ones I can't even really access videos for anymore because they were somehow discontinued way back when, but the channel still exists. They're going to discontinue the Google ads or whatever it was, or AdWords. So they were doing things behind the scenes. I think I've got like $24 sitting in some Google account, and I can't even access it. Not that I really care. It's 24, but because I have to fill out American tax forms. Well, I don't have an American account.
Yeah, but that's like 24,000 Canadian.
Right? It's so true.
You can buy a car with that.
I put it in a Bitcoin, and I'm just letting it ride. Yeah, but it's weird. Like I just got these emails out, and I'm like, "You want to access your money?" I told access money, fill the tax forms out. I go, "I don't live in the States." You know this.
Oh, that would be so annoying.
Yeah.
Could the money come here and I send it to you?
No, there's no way to transfer it. It sits in this area, and after a while, it'll just disappear. It's like literally $24, the big picture. But it's the principle of the thing. I'm like, hey, okay, transfer it here. Really, tax papers for $24? But yes, I have to fill tax papers to access that money.
Wait, how much was it?
Not even...
you don't want to say?
I hate you. Yeah. There's so much hate. I feel I dropped the H. I hate you.
That sounds like a good time to me.
It's like when something is so big, they forget the
huge.
That is huge. Huge. I love that.
It's just like Brandon's hair.
24 of these fuckers. 24 of these fuckers. That's how many it is.
He's showing up a picture of a buck in case the people that are just listening.
Look, it looks like your cat's on your shoulder there. It's awesome.
Cat's on the
She's a
Cat's in
bird
the
cat.
cradle.
Awesome.
I'll say now that's the third cat that's been on screen since we've started. So
That Biff?
Perfect.
They've all made an appearance.
Biff?
One at a time.
Which one's that?
yeah, but that one's Stormy. Biff hasn't shown up yet.
So we got four cats.
I got 5.
5.
Yeah.
Oh,
Neat.
that puts Lucky
and
to
the-
shame. Yeah.
And a people?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
How many did you steal from kids?
5.
And the pitbull.
Poor Lucky. Poor baby.
I'm sorry.
Besides, he's not here now. He's been following me around all morning. Like he always does in the morning.
We've done this intro so unorthodox, really. I mean, I guess it's a true Exploding Heads intro because we really introduced Scott and then just talked about Friday Nightmares for like 2 seconds, joked about Heather. I want to know about this. I want to know about this video game podcast that is, I'm starting to see you posting about and everything.
Oh yeah, yeah. So okay, I'll jump into that. We are it's me, Heather, and my old podcast partner, also my roommate, Tim Williams from the podcast By the Cemetery.
Yeah.
We are doing a once-a-month show where it's going to be strictly gaming. Doesn't have to be video games. It's going to be video game, board game, card game.
Talk about bored.
Shut up, Brandon. But pretty much any type of games, it's going to be included in this. But it's called Controllers Up, Cards Down, the All-Star Gaming Podcast. And we're going to be having we're doing it, like I said, once a month. So we're going to have a rotating guest. So anybody that plays games from all walks of life, we're going to just have them on, come on and talk about a board game, talk about whatever, even if it's D&D. We want everybody to come on this. It's going to, the first episode, probably by the time this is out, the first episode will be out. But we're also doing YouTube video as well as audio.
Uh-huh.
And
Good.
How about changing the name of the show to just Virgins?
well,
I was going to bring...
Well, we can't do that because you're not on the show.
What do you guess? Yeah. I was going to say, wait, you're planning on doing this podcast while the spring hits and you're in the dating scene? I was going to crack that joke.
He's going to bring his
Brandon
date home to
beat
play
me to
games.
it.
Oh, yeah. Well, those are the type of women I like to date, the ones that actually know how to have fun.
Yeah, true. If they're into D&D...
Or B&D.
I have no punchline to that.
Or S&M.
Or B&B
or
and S&M.
Or ATM. Or DP.
You never go ATM.
That's true. MTA, sorry.
Are you sure about that, Christian?
Yeah. Dyslexic.
But yeah, this is actually going to be on the Legion Podcast Network, and we have Bo Ransdell actually doing a lot of the cool stuff for the video. He's adding like a bunch of graphics and like video game stuff in the background while we're talking. And
Wow.
yeah, we've been kind of working on it for probably about the last month, trying to figure it all out. But yeah, it's going to be like a 3X show where it's like news and releases. Then the second segment, this is Heather's idea, but she wants to talk about the famous Canadian TV show Top 10 Video in Arcade. And so we're talking about an episode of that every single episode. And then our third act is pretty much just us talking about what we've played or reviewing a game or something along those lines.
And then the fourth act where you talk about poutine.
Yes. And well, then there's the fifth act, the orgy.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a good way to
I
end the
still
show.
don't know what poutine is. Damn it. It keeps coming
How do
up.
you not
It's
know?
so routine at this point. It's routine poutine.
I only started hearing about it like maybe 3 years ago.
It's disgusting looking French fries.
No.
That's what I picture.
It's fries with cheese turds and turds.
Turds. Yeah,
Jeez, exactly.
And gravy on top. It does look like cheese turds.
That's the thing, 'cause, like, I think it must just be us Northerners because like Michigan serves poutine and everything. Obviously it's not the same as Canadian, but yeah, like I can get it easily at almost most of the stores, most of the restaurants I go to.
And they call it
maybe
poutine.
I could too.
Yep.
I just heard the name maybe and didn't think it sounded appetizing. I'm not very venturous when it comes to food at all. I'm like a 6-year-old. You know what I mean? I don't. I mean, I have come along.
Hey,
like
Reg,
I love lobster
cut my
now.
crust off.
For me, just
I
like my
really-
sex life, I will try anything once.
That a boy.
He's like, I'll eat the crust. I'll eat that crust off.
ATM, here I come.
See, I'm venturous in every way except food. And like food to me is the most grossest thing that like if you have to clean something up, I could never be a dishwasher at a restaurant. I'd vomit. Something about wet food or old food. I would rather deal with like fucking human fucking bones and guts than old food or wet food. It's something about
what
it.
restaurant is that?
Jeffrey Dahmer's cookout.
Yeah. You done with your spleen? I'll clean
Oh.
that up for you.
Guy charges an arm and a leg. Waka waka. I'm out of here, folks.
Them's the jokes.
Poutine. So okay, I picture like French fry. I do picture it now. So maybe I don't know about the gravy part, but that's just me.
It actually it all goes together really well.
It probably
got,
does.
like-
I'm just like I said, I'm a pussy about food. I really am. I don't even like gravy. Like
Holy
I don't know.
fuck.
I'm fucked up.
This fucking guy.
Oh,
You
you
are a
wouldn't believe the
mess.
things I won't eat. The things I won't eat. The list is a fucking mile long. I'm out of control. So I didn't have my first taco till I was like in like my mid-20s. Wouldn't even have.
Hell
a taco.
yeah. Eat that taco.
I was gonna go there, but I figured
You
I'd
eat
leave
Yeah.
that
that
for
taco.
Pink's another story. Although at that age I wasn't really all that into that. Now I live for it. I mean, shit, if I was to be single now,
I'll
I'd be
take 2
munching half
tacos.
fucking I'd be munching half of the state if I were single at this point.
For the state.
Let me put some hot sauce on that. Yeah.
But anyway,
Add a little garnish.
Cool, so are you gonna have like an episode? Are you gonna talk about like a game at a time, or like a gaming system? If when you're talking video games, are you gonna have like an Atari 2600 episode, or are you gonna say we're gonna talk about Pac-Man today? You know?
We're actually just kind of like each of us are kind of bringing a different game to the table, and then whoever our guest is, because each show we want a different guest to come on. So I'm I think we already have 2 guests lined up for our next show at the end of this month, but we'll see for sure. But pretty much each one of us will bring a game to the show, whether it's a board game or a retro game or a new video game or Magic the Gathering or D&D or anything. Hell, even like Cards Against Humanity, or even talking about playing the board game Sorry. We're like, we want this to be kind of like an all-inclusive, like just nerdy game talk.
Speaking about cool. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Brandon.
To our listeners.
Sorry,
Yahtzee!
It sounds like you're going to have more guests on this show than actual listeners.
Probably.
Oh, Scott, I can't help but laugh because these are good.
I love Scott.
I'm talking with you.
This is what I do every fucking show.
Christian, like I said, you need to make another video. This time, his face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told you it'd be his bar mitzvah video.
Remember that picture I put up? That guy looks just like Brandon, and he's from a Phantom of the Opera or Phantom something or other. And I go, who is this guy? It looks like Brandon. He said he thought it was him. You know what I'm talking about or no?
Phantom Menace?
Vaguely.
No. Remember I put up that picture? Even you said you thought it was you for a second.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
I don't know, but if we can get that on a videotape, maybe.
Oh, yes, I know who you're talking about. Phantom of the Paradise.
Okay, that movie. What does the box art for that look like? Is that guy on it?
Not like that. No, it's
no, not like that. But I know he was like dressed in drag. He looked like I was gonna say I almost said Frankenweenie instead of Frankenfooter from
Makes sense. Makes sense.
You just need to find a VHS with the where the cover has Chris Sarandon's face, because I think he looks like Chris Sarandon too.
From Dog Day Afternoon.
Welcome.
Yes.
Welcome to Fright Night. For real.
Okay.
We didn't say you sound like him.
About games. One question about games. Stratego. You ever play Stratego?
Oh.
I have not, but I've actually really wanted to play that one.
Stratego's awesome.
I love that game with the miners and the bombs, generals and marshals.
Yes. Nobody talks about that game. It doesn't get any fucking publicity in modern times, and it was like my favorite game to play once I learned it. It's so great.
You can get arrested though if you play that game with the miners now.
The best thing to do is to put all your bombs in one area and then have like a scout as like what they think is the flag, and then just put your flag loose.
Fake flag.
So you put your flag loose somewhere else. And then everybody goes. Once they think they hit the bombs, they try to get the miners to defuse those bombs, and they go and they get a scout. And by that point, you've destroyed them. Oh, it's such a good game.
I've done it.
Yeah,
I've done it too. I've even put my number 2 behind those bombs. I put my number 2. Yeah, there he is. That's definitely Brandon.
It does look like my face. It really does.
From the poster of the show.
Yes. that should be the third exploding head in the background.
No, this is my face every time Heather tells a joke. I'm like, oh god, that wasn't funny. Oh god.
Brandon even makes faces like that sometimes.
I do. I make that.
Yeah. Wow. It's crazy. So if we can let's talk to the VHS people and see if we can get a boot with that on the cover, and then fucking there you go.
You're making fun of Canadians there? A boot? You prick.
I notice you don't say that. I notice you don't say a boot, and I notice you don't say get out of my house.
Because that's more. I think that's more like a little bit more Atlantic Canada, and maybe Saskatchewan in some cases, but mostly Atlantic Canada. I would say a boot.
Well,
which is all a boot.
It's weird though, but it's weird though because maybe not a boot, but get out of my house is something that was like very common. And like I listen to other podcasts, as you know, and there's Canadians out there. And strangely, most of the Canadian podcasters, not all, not moods, but a lot of them are from the Ontario area. I don't know why, but the guy in Land of the Creeps is from Toronto. Heather, obviously, and there's another one, and they all are from Toronto.
Christian, that's the other one.
That other one.
But Christian doesn't say house and out, where the others I think do. At least I don't notice it with Christian.
Yeah,
a lot of people think it's probably because it
It's the
could
same with
have.
Heather too, though.
What if somebody won't take their boots off in your house? Take your boots off or you get out of my house.
What accent was that? You filthy New Jerseyan.
That's what he's doing.
That was Ukrainian. That was Kazakh.
Like, and you wonder why the rest of the world hates you guys.
I don't wonder.
It doesn't matter what the accent sounds like. The point is, it's ridiculous, and that's how you guys sound. That's the whole point. Like, we could do anything. I could be like, "Oh, hello, take your boots off, get out of my house."
Man.
Like, that's Canadian. That's as Canadian as it gets.
My God.
You know, my brother said the other night, he was over at my house, we were watching wrestling, and I don't know how he came up. Oh, I know why. Because Billy Red Lion, we watched wrestling from the 80s, so we're like in 1985 now, and they showed a match from Maple Leaf Gardens. And the guy that does the interview right after the match, Andre the Giant got a severe beatdown. They broke his sternum, studding King Kong Bundy. So this is a famous thing that happened. But we haven't seen
How
it
did we
since
get
it
to
happened.
this?
So now, huh? Well, let me tell you. It's about Canada. So the guy that's interviewing he's Canadian. His name is Billy Red Lions. He was a great Canadian wrestler, and he was always on that show. He was an older gentleman at the time, Maple Leaf Wrestling, and he'd always do the interviews in between. So he's talking to Andre, and when Andre leaves, he would always call him, and only in Canada they call him that. He goes, "That was Andre the French Giant, not Andre the Giant." They would always throw French in there, only in Canada. So around the world, he's known as Andre the Giant, but in Canada, he's known as Andre the French Giant. So anyway, my brother says, he goes, "Yeah, because there it is." He goes, "Canada is obsessed with the French." And as soon as he said that, I thought to bring that to Christian. Do you think Canada is obsessed with the French?
Absolutely not. Your brother's insane. Yeah. Just like any other Canadian. Unless you're in Quebec, no one gives a fuck about the French.
Well, how come he calls him Andre the French Giant? He's from Toronto. Andre the French Giant.
You're talking about one reporter, that one guy that did that, and now all Canadians are obsessed with the French.
Well, you know what I mean. You watch
crazy.
CBC.
No, that's the thing. I don't know what you mean. That's what I'm trying to say right now. I have no clue.
Hold on. CFTO TV. You watched CFTO TV when you were a kid like I did. You must have in those shows. And they would always have things that had to do with French on there.
Well, because it's a second language. But I would never watch the French shows.
No, how you don't speak it, of course not.
Why are you obsessed with them, though?
That's just it. It was always pushed. Anytime you saw anything Canadian, as being Americans, we watched these Canadian shows, and there was always a French spin on everything. That's why he said that.
I would say it's kind of like us though, in America. Like we have Spanish, yeah. So I think it's just because Quebec is a French province that that just kind of bleeds over.
Yeah, I mean, and it bleeds into other provinces.
From Barcelona. That's where I come from. I come from Barcelona.
Can we send you back there?
I would like to apologize to Scott that the level of comedy on this episode is not up to our usual standards. Sorry, Scott.
Well,
Smokeshow.
I'll say it's at least up to.
Oh, no!
You froze
Amazing!
You froze right when you cracked the joke. It's up to what standard?
It's up to my standard.
I was like, your guys' standard is great. It's just, Brandon's is regular, which is, it's there.
Yeah. It's like the Brandon, and then there's like Heather, right? Like just elevated.
Yeah, exactly.
If there's a totem pole, Brandon's face would be at the bottom.
Stepping down.
On Exploding Heads, I'm the fucking Smoke Show.
And you know what? There would be a lot that agree with you. That's the love of the show.
Nobody agrees. They blow you.
John Rhodes loves me the most.
Christian's my favorite. Marco, I think, wants to blow you.
John Rhodes loves you. He loves you.
Yeah, but he's got that handlebar mustache.
Scott loves you, even though he won't admit it right now.
I do. I love Brandon. I got to give him a shout out.
Heather loves you. So shut the fuck up, you hat-wearing prick.
I thought you said hat worm.
Yeah.
Yeah, hat
Yeah,
or
you got
prick.
Heather, your girlfriend over there too. So you're good, Brandon.
You got Heather just waiting for the borders to open, and then her borders are going to open.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
my Lord.
We got a squirter.
High five, high five, high five.
Chris,
I
Oh,
would
my
apologize, but I bet Heather's laughing. So,
I would apologize, but I'm too busy drowning.
Oh my god.
oh yeah, flowing like Niagara Falls, baby. Bring it on.
Oh
What if
man.
I walked
Started on
into
that
here?
type of
No.
talk.
Christian
You
should
had
be
enough
laughing.
porno
at-
talk before. We can't do that again. Holy God.
Oh,
That would be a good bonus episode. We talk porno. That would be.
I brought up the idea of doing a porn podcast, and I'm half kidding.
I don't want to do a porn podcast. I just want to have like a 2-hour discussion on porn.
That's
You
a
know,
porn podcast.
But a porn podcast.
One and done.
The insinuation of calling something a podcast would be, to me, I'm thinking like an ongoing thing.
Nah, we only get off about once a month. I mean, get on. Jesus.
Oh,
That's the jokes.
Wow. Yeah, them
What a
are
shit
the
show.
jokes.
Talk about Smokeshow. This is a fucking shit show.
This is what happens when you bring the smoke show on. It turns into a shit show.
I love having the Smokeshow on.
there is
Something
one
like
thing I want to acknowledge before we get into the movie reviews, because one of them is a new one, of course. And I was thinking about this. Now I listen to Friday Nightmares, of course, every episode, and they always go over, what they've been watching, and they're right on top of things with the new releases and all that other stuff. My question to you, to everyone in the room for that matter, is how many 2021s have you seen this year? Starting with Scott, I'm most curious about you.
Can't keep up with Scott.
I am at 54 2021s already.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Brandon?
He's on pace. He's on pace for like 600,000 movies watched. He's killing it this year.
Now, all
Yeah.
those 54, how many?
Call him Scott
do you,
NATO.
Do you rate them or do you not? This is what I
NATO.
I know you don't on the show, but do you have a personal rating system at all? Or I know you do Letterboxd.
Yeah, I'll say I got Letterboxd and I got them actually all ranked on there. And yeah, I'd say out of the 54, I think there were only 7 that I've disliked that I gave 2.5 or less.
How many would you give 3.5 or higher?
I can tell you right now. I'm pulling it up. So I'll say, yeah, if you want to go around and find out who.
Yeah, I'll
how
go
many-
around. B, I know you're in second place. How many of you
Well,
watched?
actually, Heather's in second, but I've watched 31 so far.
Wow.
Wow.
And how many would you give a 7 or higher?
5.
5? Okay. And I
Yeah,
bet
it's been
three of
it's
them-
been it's only
for-
three of the films I've watched out of the 31 I would consider for our year-end show.
Okay. How about you, C?
I've watched 10, and I'm just
Okay.
bringing them up right now, and I'd say
10?
Uh,
What do you mean
yeah,
you've only
1, 2,
watched
3,
10?
4,
It's like
5.
Willy Wonka.
What do you mean you only
What
opened
do you
2?
mean? What do you mean? I can't do that math.
probably 6. 6 I would give over, did you say over 7?
Yeah, 7 or higher. Yeah.
6.
That's good. Wow, you're in the 6th
Because
percentile.
I'm smart about this.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
End
And
of
I
story.
don't have
Full
you're
stop
so
right
smart.
there.
So smart. Yeah, hat wearing prick.
Yeah. Dave
I
didn't
admire
even,
guys like. Go ahead.
Dave didn't
I'm
even
sorry.
mention the hats. He didn't even.
I know you didn't notice that Christian and I are wearing matching hats.
They're matching? Oh wow!
What do you mean they're matching? They're both black. What
What do you think? Every black looks alike? What's the matter with you?
we all look alike.
Come stay to my house. Does my wife and daughter look alike to you? Tell me.
Oh,
Oh boy.
I'm tweeting it
We're
right
okay.
now, though.
We're loose in this house. We believe in making fun of ourselves and each other, and we don't give a shit. So it's obviously
marks
my
over
wife was
here.
complaining about Wonder Woman, So, but no, I guess they are matching hats. Wow, a couple of dildos. Check it out.
And where are you, dildo? Dildo? Where did dildo come from? We're a couple of dildos, and I used the term dildo. Where are you, Dave? I didn't even mean to say dildo there.
They both start with a D. It's okay.
You just said
Oh,
dildo,
shit.
so it was in my head.
And where are you, dildo?
It was in
I
your
really
head.
thought you said
I don't think it was in your
just-
head. I think it was in your ass, actually. What is Vince over there?
It wouldn't be a dildo then. I get the real McCoy.
I'm dildo now. Oh, shit.
The real McCoy.
That could be the porn episode, exploding dildos. It'd be there. Our pictures would be there with you two hats, and you could put like an actual dick on my head. You know.
And I'll smash him with a wrench.
Getting smashed by a wrench. Oh fuck! So, Scott, did you figure out your answer?
Yep. There was 34 that I've rated 7 or higher.
Wow. See,
I mean,
okay.
granted, I also rate things pretty high, skewed compared to everybody else, but
Okay.
That's a high percentage of those.
Yeah. No, that's nice.
Scott NATO, indeed.
And I don't
yeah.
knock it. Well, see, that's what I'm saying. As much as and like I've said, years ago, I used to do a similar thing. And that's when I was new to the podcast game, newer, and I was trying to watch as many as possible and everything else. And I had a little more free time. So I don't knock them for doing it because I'm glad because they're the soldiers that go out. They're some of the people who I reference when I decide what I'm going to watch. I take a look at everybody's letterboxd. I do my IMDb method and the cover art and everything. And I it's one giant thing that helps me decide. And one of them is judging the people that have watched these movies. So I'm like, I commend them for it. I don't condemn them. I commend them. Let them do it. I'm glad it's not me, but I'm glad there's people like that are willing to go the extra mile. So that's great. And for me, Christian, how many did I watch? How many did we do on the show? That's the answer.
Oh, wow.
Whatever we've done for this podcast is what I've done. So what did we do?
4, 5,
Shadow in
5
the
then?
Clouds.
6,
Shadow in the
I guess.
Clouds.
Shadow,
6.
Curse
of Ladder, Curse of whatever it was. Not La Llorona. The 2 we did at the one time. The Queen of Black Magic and the other joint. I forgot what it was called.
Yeah, why am I joining?
We did 2, right? We did Queen of Black
Psycho
Magic.
Gorman. Yeah, I forgot that. So it's 7, I guess, for you. Yeah.
Was Psycho Gorman on the same show?
Psycho Gorman.
Is Queen?
Gorman.
So 4.
Yeah,
5
Psycho
would
Gorman.
be.
Yeah.
What
Saint
did we do
Maud.
last-
Saint Maud.
Saint Maud would be 5 then, and then 6 would be what did we do last show? Something.
The
The
Virgil.
Vigil.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Vigil.
Vigil.
Yeah.
The Virgil.
Virgin.
The Virgin. We're doing
Dildo.
Brandon again.
Look at this guy. And today would be
Wow.
7. Okay, so 7 for today's movie, Son. Okay, so I'm only at 7 for the year so far, and we'll get to it. I'm just curious to know because that's interesting stuff, and I want to see how many Scott's gonna end up with.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious because if it wasn't for the fact that I can watch movies at work, I would not be anywhere near this number. But pretty much since the pandemic hit, my boss doesn't care because she's just happy I show up to work. So I just pretty much just and I'm always just kind of like, oh, a new movie came out, I'll watch the trailer because I don't care about trailers. Like they can spoil something and it won't bother me. So if the trailer looks even somewhat interesting, I'll watch it.
Right on. Nothing wrong with that.
What?
That
They're
helps
sitting
me.
Vigil in the Vigil? What a spoiler!
I don't understand some things though. Like that movie Shook. It came out the other day. As soon as I heard that movie came out, I went to IMDb. It had a 4.1 out of it only had less than 300 people watching it. So when I see things like that, I don't understand because then I go on the Letterboxd and I see how many people aren't like me and just watch this movie blindly without looking into it at all. And I look and I see 10 people and all the ratings are 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. And I always say to myself, why don't they do it like I do? But anyway, to each their own. I don't know. I'm a little uptight about it. But again, if I had more time, that'd be another story. I would watch more. But now I work, I come home, I have some family time. If I'm lucky, I have time for a movie, maybe 3 or 4 times a week, not counting what I have to watch for podcasts. So it's
Right.
it's tough to
Yeah.
weigh it out.
I'll give you a heads up. Our watch list. We took on a lot more remakes and originals, and that took up a lot of our time trying to watch all those.
Boy, did it. That was a great episode, though, by the way. I can't.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I
Part
can't put
two
it
is-
over enough.
And part 2 is coming out real soon here of remakes.
Oh, that's great. I love that stuff. And I love the show. And I love that you guys shout out other podcasts, that you're listening. That you. And the thing is, I'm listening to you guys talk about these podcasts, and some of them are on bigger platforms. And I listen, and I'm like, man, this show is definitely better than the shows that they're talking about when they're talking about some of these shows.
Skeleton Crew!
Oh, well, thank you.
So sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
of
shouting
course.
out podcast.
That is very kind words. I appreciate that.
Oh yes, of course. I listen to more podcasts than maybe the way you guys watch movies is probably the way I listen to podcasts because I can do it at work. So
Right.
I listen. I sample. I listen to every horror podcast that I've heard of. At least give them a chance. So it's like the percentages, now of what I really think are really good ones, less than 10%. Ones that I'll listen to, 25%.
Friday Nightmares! Oh, sorry. I can't stop shouting out podcasts.
And Watson and the Watsy party, I did listen to the last episode, and that was great. But ultimately, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm the asshole in the show that says, there's so many of them out there, and for the most part, I don't care what most people have to say.
That's fair.
I'm half joking, but I'm not, like, at the end of the day, I'm not trying to be a dick. It's just that there's so much, like, I gotta watch movies, I gotta edit the show, I've gotta do other things. So it's very limited. And now that I got serious again, I'm listening to Stern quite a bit. So it gets,
Yeah,
like,
you are an asshole.
I am, like, I admit it, like, but I mean, like, would I lie? I guess you just don't say anything. I love every podcast
be
out
honest. No, I definitely don't.
Vote for me!
I want you to not say anything for a while.
I'll tell you. And this is the only time I talk about anything. I don't talk online anymore, really. You know what I mean? If I want to say anything that isn't 100%, if it's going to cause any type of controversy, not that I'm trying to cause controversy on the podcast, but there are things that I'll say here that I would never say in public, but they're nothing bad, but I still don't want to ruffle feathers. That's not what I'm about. So it's like, I'll say that, but the way you are, like what I said, I'm obsessed with horror movies. Therefore, I want to listen to horror movies or hear people discuss them when I'm working, because that's what interests me. That and old school wrestling. So I listen to old school wrestling podcasts and I listen to horror movie podcasts because that's what I'm into. And that's really all I listen to at work. But I had that luxury, so why not listen to as many?
You know who my favorite wrestler was back in the day?
Who?
Maybe you could help me, Dave. He was... I forgot what his name was. I believe they called him the French Giant, though. I don't know what that is all about.
How about Rene Goulet? You know him?
No one knows anybody that you're talking about. If I was on the road again, driving for work like I used to be, it'd be a different story. Somewhat different, because again, I still have
Truck driver? Or was that driving the elephants to the circus?
Yeah, watching elephant balls and listening to...
on the road again.
But we're not. I just come down and I go to a computer every morning. Walk down the stairs to a computer every morning. And so I can listen to podcasts, but I choose to do other things while I'm working. So
yeah, let's listen to Howard Stern for the 8 millionth time.
it's a different show.
The same shit.
But I'm
The
right
fuck
there
are
with
you
you, Christian. Like, I have slowed down on a lot of my podcast listening, but that's because I used to listen at work. But now that I'm able to watch movies at work, I've been doing that instead. But
I've slowed down because they all suck.
No, but I ended up always like looking for one new one to listen to, so I have a possible show to talk about on our next episode, and then I also kind of just, when we talk about the shows, I'm going back through the back catalog of stuff that I love, because I used to listen to a ton of shows, like especially when I worked third shift. That was like pretty much all I did.
Just do the Watson method. Pick a show, listen to like about a second of it, and talk about that 1 second you listen to.
I'm not making any comments. I made that joke before, and Watson and I are good friends.
That's your joke.
I stand by Watson.
He's still going to get mad at you for me saying it.
He's not going to get mad at me at all. He's going to go, B, shut the fuck up.
And I think that's what everybody should say.
No, but I do appreciate when people shout out good shows, because then at least I've written down shows to check out. I'm just never good at following up on that note that I'll jot down and whatever. But it is cool. Dave's done it. I've wrote down a couple of shows, maybe in the past, because we're talking about now over 5 years of him shouting out shows. I've checked out a few of them, a few tops. But I mean, I definitely
he shouted out.
He's shouted out a lot of shows, so that's the thing. But I just can't do it. I can't go through each and every show the way he does. Like, he binge listens shows. I just can't.
Yeah, that was how I was back in the day. I just can't do it anymore.
There's very few. Like right now, I'm having trouble finding things because I've run out of things to watch or to listen to. So it's like I'm to the point now that I wish I could find something new that would spark my interest, and it hasn't happened. I like right now. It's when I go back to work tomorrow. It's unfortunate for me because luckily the new Friday Nightmares is out, so that's fine. So I can listen to that. That's one thing I can listen to. But it's like there's so few that I'm into, and I'm sorry. I wish I was into more, but I'm not. I just like what I like. But a lot of the big time shows that are on big time networks, I don't even like them, and that's the thing. I'm like, well, I see these guys here doing great shows, talking about certain shows that are on like Bloody Disgusting Network or this or that or any of those networks, and I'm like, you know what? Those guys got lucky to be picked up, however they did, whatever it took, and what they do is fine, but what Friday Nightmares is doing is they put in so much more work, and it's a much better listen, and it's frustrating to me when I see all these other shows, doing things and monetizing and becoming, not household names, but becoming
like
big
Exploding
names.
Heads. Fuck those guys.
Friday Nightmares is just as bloody disgusting as any other show. Christian like that. I heard him laughing in the background wherever the fuck he went.
At least Bloody Disgusting responded to me. Responded at least and declined. That's fine. I at least got a response from them. You know what I mean? I got boned by the guy at Fangoria, the Cinestate guy, and then they got in trouble anyway and went under. So whatever that is, and then the people at what's the other one? 3 emails over 3 years, different ones where I was pointed in the direction by other people that knew somebody. Not even a response, not even a polite, thank you for your submission. At this time, we're not, accepting new, or your criteria doesn't necessarily fit our network. Whatever. If someone doesn't even give me the courtesy of a response, I'm real big on common courtesy. So if I don't get it, then I'm just done with it. And that's what the one network did, Dread Central. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay, well then I'm not going to listen to your network just because of that. I have to be honest. If you respond at least and say something, fine. But anyway. Bottom line is a lot of these shows like Friday Nightmares and like a few others that I listen to are better than 95% of the ones that are on the big networks. And that is true. And I'm sorry. It's not a bias. It's not because I know the hosts. It's none of that. Believe me, I have plenty of friends that do podcasts and I'm just like,
Like Christian, right? At 12:15, every time Christian signs up, Dave's like, what'd you think, B?
Yeah, I think I cut out there, but I wanted to say thank you, Dave, for saying that, because that means a lot, because we just do this for fun. So the fact that so many people really enjoy what we do, it's great.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you for the content. And it's just like you guys do something different. You had the presence of mind to sit there and say, we're going to have a topic. We're going to talk about a bunch of movies. We're going to have what we watch, but only a certain dynamic. Like I know it because you sent me the thing for what we're going to do when I'm going to come on. So I see you have an outline on what it is. That's what I'm saying. Someone that comes along with a new concept besides, hey, let's watch one movie and freaking crack wise for an hour and then the end of show, which so many people do that shit. And it's just like, okay. When someone
downfall. There's one downfall, though, and I think Smokeshow is being smoked out because there's a lot of attention going to this slumber party massacre. I think they're trying to smoke you out, man. I think you got to try to get on there as like the creeper.
Never.
Like the guy that's always looking through the windows.
Never in the
I want to be
history
the
of
guy in the
podcast.
panty raid.
Never in the history of podcast has 4 women come together.
There you go.
Never.
I don't know. I think I've seen that in a porn before.
Amazing. It's great.
No, I gotta say,
it's a gimmick.
what they're doing what they do with that show is amazing. So I'm fully on board and supporting that. And I told Heather, I'm like, if you need to end this show because you become a rising star on Slumber Party Massacre, it's cool. I appreciate the time I've had with you.
And that's when we throw in wigs and we start the Sorority House Massacre podcast with 5 female trans hosts.
You're right. Let's do it. Holy shit. Trans would definitely take off. See, that's
Except
you
we're
gotta
not.
Gimmick
We're not, so we'll just be a horribly offensive show, Dave. You actually have to be trans if you're going to be promoted as that.
First review,
How would they know?
Transylvania 65000.
That's the actual thing. The first trans, and we do any movie that has trans in the title. Transylvania 65.
And
what other one do we have?
Trans show. You're right.
Trans Am. Transylvania 65000.
Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Transformers.
Oh, Transformers.
Wow.
Oh my God, is that why they're called Transformers?
That would be on Robot Chicken. If they haven't done it yet, they should. That would be Transformers. Oh my God. That's funny.
Yeah, Scott's Smoke Show's just like, I'm not talking. I'm staying out of this one. Yeah. How about GoBots? Can we talk about GoBots?
Men are a fucking dime a dozen. That's the problem, especially in the whole podcast world. And you got to have a gimmick. For females, that's a gimmick. Trans, that's a gimmick. Gay, that's a gimmick. Black, that's a gimmick. I'm sorry, it's a good gimmick.
Let's put this on Twitter. Black is a gimmick.
Dave Z. Black is a gimmick.
Now.
Yeah.
See, and of course, I don't mean it in a nefarious way, but you're right. It will come out that way. I don't mean because I'm not saying it the right way. It doesn't mean that I'm not compassionate about everybody. This is like the discussion I had with my wife. Everything has to be accepting, and that's a gimmick. I wish I can get my wife and daughter to do a fucking show. That would be great. That might take off because they're not Caucasian and they're not men. I'm telling you, it's a gimmick.
I hear you, and I know what you're talking about from an advertising standpoint and whatever. The reality would be it would be horribly because if you're trans and you're doing a podcast, you're not using that as a gimmick. That's your voice.
Of course you are.
Yeah, you are. Let's start an all-black podcast and call it Dark Discussions.
Oh my God.
Too soon?
Yeah. Too soon.
Market it as the first ever trans horror podcast. That's your market. That's your gimmick. Just like every gay podcast, that's part of their thing. It's part of their slogan or something, and they go out of their way to make sure that it's represented on the show. So it becomes part of the gimmick. And therefore, it can attract others of that type that'll just give it a listen just because there's so few out there, and that's something that they gravitate to as human beings. This represents me. These guys here are trans. I'm going to listen to them because I'm trans. And then if you get enough of them, boom, it's a gimmick. You take off. That's what I'm saying when I'm saying a gimmick. It's fucking something out of the ordinary that could propel you to higher heights.
Would we be able to review Bumblebee as part of the series?
Yes.
I don't see why not.
Okay. I'm in then.
Let's reinvent ourselves. We'll go away from.
Then you guys can do the Transmorphers one too by whatever that stupid company is.
And we'll even talk about GoBots.
That's what I brought up. Why hasn't there been a GoBot movie?
There should be.
I was like, give it time. There probably will be.
Yeah. The bargain basement.
I refuse to watch Transformers movies. That's a fact. There's a good reason. I do, because they're way too big. I played with the toys. A Transformer is supposed to be the size of a regular car. It's not supposed to be the size of a fucking skyscraper. That's why I won't watch it. It's inaccurate. It's fucking anatomically incorrect. I couldn't watch Transformers movies.
That's why he doesn't watch a Lexington Steel video either.
Do you do this when you take a shower? Are you washing yourself? You're like, this isn't anatomically correct.
Yeah.
Like, imagine you make a Masters of the Universe movie, and you make them fucking 5 times the size of us. He-Man comes out and Skeletor, and they're fucking giants. Come on, man. No.
That is true.
Yeah, I can't help it. That's my childhood. If you're going to take my childhood and say, Transformers aren't actually this size, they're actually this. I'm like, no, they're kind of not. Like Godzilla. How about the Godzilla compare? They keep making them fucking bigger and bigger. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I'll say like
until you realize it's a Godzilla movie. Sorry, Scott.
I'll say it's like the same thing with the Godzilla versus Kong movie coming out. It's like they're both just freaking titans, which I'm all about watching them destroy cities. But yeah, I think it's America. You just got to go bigger every time.
Yeah, got to go bigger. Hear that, ladies?
Well, then let's not tell the ladies that, because then Smokeshow ain't getting no action.
Oh, sorry. Gotta go. It's not about the size of the boat, it's the motion in the ocean.
Exactly.
Smokeshow's still out of luck.
Yeah, you're gonna get seasick on this boat ride.
Well, watch out for those seamen then. All right, maybe we should talk. Maybe we should talk these movies, huh? We got Babadook and we got Sun, All About Sons, and
Babadookie. Sorry, I cracked that joke earlier too.
Babadookie.
See, he heathered that there. He just laughed at his own joke.
I'm laughing because I knew Dave would appreciate it.
Of course I do. What's that smell?
By far the most cringe-worthy moment in any movie I've ever seen. Even as a kid. No, I loved it, but I always like, that's fucking cringe. Like, this fucking actor, like, you can't do anything after this. Like,
No.
You can't do anything.
like, his biggest role is pretending he shit his pants. His fucking Hulk Hogan.
I mean, literally, you could go, you can't say that.
Right. You can't say that. What about the kid that played fucking what's his name? Spalding in Caddyshack. When he's swimming in the freaking thing in the pool scene with the turtle floating in the water, and he goes, "Duty!" And he fucking turns around.
I want a hamburger. I want a hot dog.
You'll get nothing and like it. God, I love that movie. Okay.
All right, Babadook.
Yeah, Christian, is that okay to go old first, or are you?
Fuck the two of you. No one knows what we're talking about yet.
I was
wanna
being
Just,
genuine.
I'll just,
No.
yeah.
You want to do the spoilers for next week's show before we start this show?
Scott's like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? And he'll be still saying that when he hears the episode.
Why would you take that out? It's great stuff.
I didn't take it out. I didn't take any of it out. I said he hasn't heard it yet because it hasn't dropped.
Oh, heard it
No,
yet?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll be
You
listening
make that
soon.
fun.
Your fucking ears, jackass. I love the jerky voice. Open your ears, jackass.
Oh, amazing. Open your fucking ears, jackass. Oh, that is the great. Whew.
Yes, we can go old first. Uh-oh.
We'll go old first. Go old?
Hey, how do you do that? Is that how all the texts pop up?
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to do text from now on. I do it through
I've
the
never
fucking
done
phone.
How do you do
Scott has turned into a cat.
Cat Crawford.
Cat Crawford.
Cat-
The cat's
You heard
just,
of cat?
the cat's looking at us like, who the fuck are these guys?
You heard of Cat Stevens? Ladies and gentlemen, Cat Crawford.
Wouldn't it be amazing if it talked right now? That would be fucking great.
This cat's more interested than Scott.
You gotta leave this in.
I should just put that visual over the last 5 minutes of the show of him talking even every time he talks.
That's a
Oh,
well-behaved
like
kid.
that guy. How about that guy? I'm not a cat.
Yeah, that's actually not a cat. That's a lawyer right there.
That's amazing.
I think Scott's trying to run away from this episode.
He went to check on the dog.
Always those fucking wrenches. Those are wrenches.
That's
Holy
a cute
cow.
cat. That's a cute cat right there.
Yeah.
Oh, my dog was going ape shit like 10 minutes ago.
What's that?
I said my dog was going ape shit 10 minutes ago too. So I didn't know what the hell was going on.
They're wrenches. They're the biggest wrenches there are. Dog.
Hey, Scott's back. Scott, we
Hey.
we didn't even start the movie. All we did was pretend that you turned into a cat.
Oh. I mean,
Yep.
that's probably what's going to happen to me at some point, or at least I'll be cat food.
Funny enough, the listenership jumped 200%. Percentile. I just like to say tile at the end. It makes it sound more official.
Kyle? It does.
Percentile.
Oh,
look
two
at that.
cats. Nice. Two cat Sam. That's fucking great.
Oh,
Love
yes. Still surprisingly no Biff. Have not seen him yet this
I love
morning.
Biff.
Biff
Which makes me nervous.
Biff is my boy. I love Biff.
Oh, he is such a great. He's a
Maybe
great
he's
cat.
maybe he's worried that Dave's going to steal him.
Now Biff.
Actually, he came in before and he said, "Scott, make like a tree and get the hell out of here."
Amazing.
Whenever I talk to him, I talk to him in Mr. Garrison's voice. Mr. Biff.
Hey, do you have a gizmo cat or no?
Surprisingly, no. That is one that I couldn't, because most of these pets of mine were rescues by my ex before she moved out. And
So
she would not allow me to. Yeah, she would not allow me to name him Gizmo. Like if I had one now, oh hell yeah, I would.
Yeah, for sure.
So now the spider, you should just change one's name to Gizmo.
I think that would get confusing. They've been around for too long. They'd probably be like, "What? Who are you talking about?"
That's just Bismo.
Gizmo.
So Biff thinks he's,
Yeah, Biffmo.
Biffmo.
Yeah, Bismo.
How about Venmo?
Venmo.
Everybody loves Venmo all of a sudden, by the way. It's the new Zoom. Every time I talk to someone online about PayPal, oh no, I got Venmo though.
They should do a Three Stooges one and do it Venmo, Larry, and Curly. There's definitely a commercial in there. There's definitely a commercial in there with that.
Oh, that's what our movie's got to be. Just
Yeah.
a flip show.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
Babadook.
Babadook. Yeah. I remember Dave in the chat. Christian, you probably remember this. Dave's like, no, we're only going to do movies that, or at least from 2012. So, we're doing The Babadook from 2014.
No, he said 5 years old. He said
did
5
say
years
five?
old. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought he said
Yeah,
at least.
I'll-
Okay.
I'll back
All
him
right.
up there.
All right.
Yeah, I said at
You
least
back
5.
him up, you fucking skunk.
15.
All right. Written and directed by Jennifer Kent, a single mother and her child fall into a deep well of paranoia when an eerie children's book titled Mr. Babadook manifests in their home.
Indeed. Full spoiler here, and I'm gonna have a serious question when we get to the end. But for
Full
now, let me
spoiler,
just say,
this movie's just about bad dental care.
oh, mama mia. The
Yeah,
Duke.
it's
It seems to be. It got a lot of love when it came out. I think it still gets a lot of love.
It's
It was a lot of.
movie.
Yeah, but I've seen actually the most drastic review was Donanelli on Letterboxd, gave it 1 star. But he said he couldn't get over the kid. I've heard that argument before, but you got to get over the kid. That's
It's not that bad.
it's not that bad. I said
two
like this view.
scenes. It's right. It's like 2 scenes when he fucking acts a fool. When he really does. The one in the car and the other one, and that's it. The rest of the here's what I say. When I see
But you
people,
need
believe
it.
me, I'm not saying, huh?
Yeah, there's
you
a
need it.
reason. There's a reason
There's a-
for it.
Well,
Yeah.
He's
damn
supposed
right
to be
there's
at that
a good
11 level. Sorry.
Exactly. He does that intentionally.
No, I jumped in. I'm sorry. All I wanted to say was one thing. I'm not saying that I'm the world's greatest father. I've had instances. No, it's true. I don't want to come off preachy. saying,
Nobody
"Oh,
ever
my father."
accused you of that.
That's okay. None of us are. There's been instances like, that I've regret the way I've handled things. It's a fact.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm very hard on myself. But I mean, I will say this. I don't want to come off too but it's like no. But
Now go to sleep or I will put you to sleep.
But if these people really are watching this movie and they find that kid as the most annoying kid just based on what we see, but I question if they should have children. If that really makes them that upset that they can't deal with it on their screen for 5 minutes of their lives, how would you handle a regular kid that acted out times? Holy shit! It's not
I
that bad.
completely agree because this was the second time I've seen this movie. I watched it when it first came out, and when I first watched it, I was like, "Yeah, this kid's annoying." But as I rewatched it, I'm going, "There's a reason for this. This kid has been traumatized. He's probably autistic." So there's probably a lot of they don't straight out say it, but I think he's autistic or something along those lines where there's just something that's a little off with him, and he's just unique and just the way his mother acts, you can just tell she's just exhausted from it. So that's just a kid at that age, and so I have no issues with him.
I would argue that it's not even autism; that it's just years of neglect. I mean, this woman clearly dealt with probably postpartum and never dealt with her grief and everything with the death of her husband, and it's just been neglectful. I mean, it's evident throughout, even in, the opening scene where they're laying in bed and she pulls away from him.
Yeah.
That's another thing about the intimacy in this. She gets mad at him every time he hugs her. There's one time where he hugs her and he starts moaning, and she pushes him off and says, "Don't do that." She gets mad because she's craving some cock.
Maybe if she just was allowed to have one fucking orgasm without getting interrupted, she'd be a little happier.
Yeah, she came close, poor girl.
Literally came close.
Yeah. But and that's it. Like, I mean, you're right, but there are, and again, neglect is probably where I'd lean to, but to Scott's argument, there's multiple comments made from her sister and from just the student, like the principal and the teachers, that there needs to be some special attention or some help. Now, that could be simply the fact that he's been neglected and just needs constant attention. But the guy's a creative little kid. Like, I mean, those gizmos he makes up to combat monsters and stuff are fantastic.
They are cool. I mean, and it turns into like Home Alone a little bit at the end. You know, a dark psychological Home Alone. But I think in terms of the outbursts and stuff, the stuff that people find annoying, the stuff in the car, I think it's intentional. I think he throws these fits intentionally to draw the attention back to him. Right. And to keep the mother distracted so she doesn't go off the deep end. I mean,
just to keep the Babadook out, basically, in his mind, which is the same thing as her.
Exactly.
The deep end, but I mean, you know, he's like reminding her, "Don't let it in, don't let it in." He basically saying, "Don't turn into that person."
Yeah, and if he flips out, and she has to focus her attention on him, she can't sort of dive into her own grief and become more sinister.
So
and he always said, like, he says it multiple times too, where he's like, you know, I'm gonna protect you, Mom.
Yeah.
So like that is probably his way of doing that, is just like trying to just constantly distract her and like keep her focused on him.
He's actually a really good for a 6-year-old who has the presence of mind, who says he's going to take care of his mother. Like, I thought he was, especially this time watching. I'm like, this is really good.
Same with me. I thought, I mean, it is a slow build, and then that last half hour is just fantastic, but you need it to get to where it's going. And I think maybe if you're taking the Babadook as a literal monster, and not really accepting what they're trying to tell you from a story standpoint, then sure, the kid's annoying and everything else. But I think that, again, everything we've argued is there's a reason for it, and that's ultimately where the monster comes from and the manifestation of it and everything else. It's funny because I described this because my son wanted to watch a scary movie, and I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember if this was going to be too scary for him.
Boy, it is.
It ended up being too scary, but he watched it with me.
It's scary.
But at the beginning, when I described what the movie was going to be, I just said it's about a boy who's kind of acts out, bugs his mom, and the mom has to deal with him, and I said, but there is a monster. And that's the description I gave, kind of fragmented like that. And he's like, oh, so is the monster the bad side of the mom?
Oh, wow.
I'm like, what? Like, how did you even draw that? Like, he didn't know anything about this movie. Like, what a weird thing to instantly jump to.
Is this the same guy who knew it was Roy in part 5?
No. This was my son, you prick. But that
was my father.
But I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow. I'm like, well, dude, you're bang on. But how did, like, I didn't even let any kind of, so like, so let's watch the movie. Now he liked it, but he thought,
like, way to spoil the movie. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, he did think it was a little terrifying, and you know, he's like, what's she doing, Dad, when she's having the masturbation scene? I'm like, oh, she's just enjoying life. She's just enjoying life at this moment. Yeah, she's trying to enjoy life.
Beans, son. That's what she's
flicking away, baby.
She's trying to relieve stress.
Yeah. My mom, and then my wife comes home to watch the end part and is looking at me like, you idiot, this is a little too much for him. He did end up liking the movie, but he did think it was a little too much for him, and he drew the comparison. He thought it was like Come Play.
Oh, nice.
A little bit, like from the storybook standpoint and the monster. But the fact that he got the manifestation of like a dark side of one's persona was just from a description I thought was great.
Yeah, clearly what that says is you're not his father.
Yeah, and you could be right, because I remember watching it the first time and thinking it was like, I still like, is this overt? Like, do you think everybody gets this? Because I don't know if everybody gets it. I don't think everybody gets this.
I didn't the first time. It took me watching it the first time. Then I listened to a podcast, and it was Duncan and Jamie and Bo, I believe, and they were talking about this movie and they dissected it. And I was like, oh, okay, clearly I'm an idiot because all of this went over my head. I took it as a straightforward. I enjoyed it the first time, but still, then I watched it the second time and loved it. Then the last time I watched it, just watched it for the hell of it, and we're going back, I don't know, 5 years, and I was a little less impressed. So going into it this time, I got to say, I'm not saying I wasn't looking forward to it, but I was not excited because the view I had the last time was my least impressive view yet. But that did change watching it this time. But I want to agree with Scott. I don't know 100%.
I can't remember either.
It's autism, but I think at that age, being 6 years old and doing some of the things he does, he could be autistic, or he could be, he could have ADHD.
Yep.
Because that's what it reminds me of. Because a lot of people with ADHD, and I know because I am one, we are far advanced. We're far advanced in some ways mentally than others, but at the same time, we're also on the other side where we can't keep up with others in certain things mentally. And again, I also know that to be true of autism. I think autism is more of the extreme version of, again, I could be completely wrong. And someone, that studies and stuff says you're way off, Dave. But I'm just saying.
Ask Watson. He's taking a psychology course.
No, there you go. I'll ask Watson.
No, that was an evaluation.
But there's similarities.
Sorry, Watts. I had to do it.
Watts.
And the magic stuff and everything else. Man, I was all into magic when I was that age too. I used to buy those sets and everything else. And maybe there's a connection with something like that. With having an obsession with stuff like that. But I think he's at the very least like ADHD. He's something. I don't think he's your regular 6-year-old.
He's definitely not a regular 6-year-old. I just think he's actually sort of like a kid genius almost.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, look at for one, the toys that he built, like the weapons. Like, he built those, so that shows that he's got like a higher level of intelligence than a normal 6-year-old.
Yeah, I think the magic speaks to like his imagination,
Yep.
And his creativity. It just speaks to like him being smart and way beyond his years.
Yeah, absolutely. Because even like some of the things that he does throughout this movie, like you can just tell, like he's pretty smart for his age. Like he's comes up with some things, and he's like you said, he's also very imaginative.
Yeah.
But it's the mixture of those two things, especially towards that third act. Like some of the things that he does to like trick his mother.
I love when he pushes his fucking cousin at the
oh, me
treehouse.
too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Fuck that.
And she lands the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's actually a weird continuity thing because it's exactly when my wife came into it, and you see him get pushed out backwards, and then she's down on the ground frontwards.
Well, they did the
like,
cat thing where you twist.
Yeah.
Try to land on her feet. Yeah.
She biffed it.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So now her nickname is Biff.
Yeah. And what I was agreeing with Dave earlier is I can't remember if I just took this literally the first time or not. I'm thinking I caught it. I'm thinking I caught it because I don't remember listening to any podcast discussing it. And again, I remembered it was some sort of manifestation of her anger, her greed, her whatever. Not greed. Sorry, her just her dark side.
What is she, a Jew?
Greed.
Apollo Greed?
Yeah, Apollo Greed. Creed, yeah. But that...
The show.
Out loud.
I'm retiring after the show. Yep, I'm using the R word. I'm retiring.
Sounds like me.
But the weird thing is, what was it before the book came into play? Because, like, what was the dark side before... Because the book seems to be new to the kid.
The book, I think...
The book was always there.
The book was always there. I think the book represents her way of getting her grief down on paper and sort of putting it out there, sort of getting it out of her rather than keeping it buried down deep inside. And I think the fact that the book keeps coming back is her rewriting the book over and over. Because when she goes into the police station... I mean, people could make the argument that it's soot because she just burned the book, but when she goes back in there and she said she burned the book, she's got like ink all over her hands. I don't think that's so.
Yes.
I
Ink,
think
right.
I think after she burned the book, she rewrote another copy of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Illustrated it. I mean, they talk about her being a writer, so I think she's literally just losing her mind. I think the reason why it's happening now is just because, I don't know, it's been 6 years since her husband died. She keeps having those nightmares.
And it was, and I have a feeling like a lot of this comes out of her around this anniversary, which is her son's birthday.
Yeah.
Because they do refer to that a lot, where it's like they make sure to refer to, like, you know, when he died, and like her son always saying like, yeah, my dad died on the way to having me. And
Yeah.
Right.
so I think it's just that, like, every time around this year, it's that anniversary, and it triggers it. So yeah,
True.
she's probably had this book every, like, just kind of like pulls that book out like maybe once a year, and that's kind of her like grief and everything.
She makes the kid share the birthday with the cousin because she won't let him celebrate it on the actual anniversary because she can't get over this, and she blames him. That's another reason why she's so neglectful. She blames him.
Yeah.
Well,
She even says at one point, "I wish it was you."
Yeah, like the way she snaps on him a few times, it's just like, yeah, you could tell, like, listen,
I'm
like,
hungry, Mom.
That was
Go and eat shit.
yeah. Those were the more disturbing scenes for my son, and like it was he found that more disturbing than probably the monster sequences, that a mom would talk to her son that way, and I was like, that's the stuff that I'm like, oh shit, am I a bad parent? But he enjoyed the movie overall, but he definitely thought it was a little terrifying.
Did we
And
get him on here so he could add something to the show?
yeah, boy, like another
It's a
hat.
gimmick.
I'll have him come down with his black hat, and then we can all just be the black hatsters.
I got it.
She was amazing from an acting standpoint. Just a phenomenal sort of descent into that her madness in that last third is just fantastic.
Yeah.
The level of intensity that she brings to the screen is amazing.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, that's the one thing about this movie too, is like the performances from everybody in this film I thought were really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, and it's mainly just the mother and child for the majority of the film, like, that you're focused on. So like, just because the chemistry between them, you feel like they are really parent and child.
Yeah. If they don't work for you, then you hate the movie, which is why some people hate the movie, because they hate the kid and they just can't get on board. But if you are into these two characters, then you should love the movie. And even the neighbor, the Mrs. Roach, she says something early on when he comes home. She's like, "Oh dear, you look like you've been in the wars," which I think is a great line. It's like he's been battling this demon for so long, but you think it's his demon, and that's what they're driving to, that it's his demon, but it's really, he's battling his mother's demon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about we talked about it when we were talking about The Shining, how it would be great if they marketed a book that was what he wrote, like
and it just says all work and no play.
Yeah, and it was just and then we found out that someone actually did market that. Have they actually done the pop-up book for the Babadook?
Yep.
They have?
Yep, there was there was an extremely limited edition run for it a couple years back. Like, I started seeing collectors in this collector group finally getting their copies of it, and it's a large book, and pop up with the pop-ups and everything in it.
Yeah.
I want the second issue though. I want the one that she gets when she chokes the dog in the way it's
Oh wow.
The X in its eyes, and then you see the Babadook, the shadow behind the girl and everything else, and then she slits her throat. That's the book I want.
That's cool. Hulk Hogan actually did the ad when the book came out. And he's like, "What's this smell?"
Oh my god.
I'm sorry.
That dog dying was the other scene that I'm like, my son wasn't very fond of. He just looked at me like, I'm like, yeah. I mean, sometimes
they probably should have left it out, only because I find it hard to believe at the very end of the film that, they're kind of repairing their relationship and doing well. Like, that's like, I don't know. Like, that was a pretty horrific scene.
You didn't see the post-credit sequence then. The dog's fine. He's just wearing one of those cones.
It was the lick my Bugsy, lick my Bugsy scene.
Yeah, it was fine.
It was sad. It was sad.
They got a
when
pug.
The kids saw the dog.
Yes. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, just the act that she goes through to hurt the dog, and then her son's seeing it. It's like her son's gonna be scarred for life now because of that.
Yeah, that sucks. It's sad. when it actually happens, obviously it's not a good scene, but
It's a great scene.
no.
It's a
I'm not
Dave
saying
great
that, but
scene.
at the time, I got a little bit of
A laugh.
An erection.
maybe not a laugh is the wrong way to put it, but I got a little bit of fantasy satisfaction.
So you
Because-
farted cum.
No.
What?
No, it's funny though. I watched a movie like that right before bed last night, but that's another story. No, but my dog, I believe that this dog here looks a lot like my dog, who is a Bichon. And I don't know if this dog's a Bichon. Sure as hell looks like one. But let me tell you this: that dog is a bigger wrench than my wife. If there's such thing as a bigger wrench, it is that fucking dog. So when this dog's getting choked out, I'm thinking to myself, "There you go, you fucker." Yeah, get back in the go after the garbage again. Go eat the cat's food. Go puke on the floor. Go fucking jump in the bed when I'm trying to fuck my wife. Go, here, do this again. Come over here. Fucking stare at me and my wife when I'm trying to eat dinner. You fucking wrench. Even though I love the dog, she does a lot of fucking things that really piss me off. So I had a little bit of a fantasy payback when that was happening. I'm like, there you go, you fucker.
Please,
But then
someone
when I- when the-
superimpose Dave's face over hers and just show the dog being choked out. That would make my day.
I would never do it. I love her. I would never lay a hand on my animals.
Well, I
Any of them.
fantasize about it.
But I fantasized about it when I saw that scene. I was like, how do you like that, fucker?
How do you like- Not so much, eh? Broke neck.
But when the kid sees it, I almost teared up. Because I felt really bad for that kid at that moment. Nah, no one wants to see their dog die. You know what I mean? That's fucking horrible. Horrible.
Yeah.
Okay, well, will everybody agree with me? This is the question. Do you think that this movie is it just as much psychological as supernatural? What's your take? Because I think this is the instance where it is 50% of each. And it's a rare instance where it's both. I know where B's gonna probably go, but
Like
what do you
you're
guys
thinking that we're just not seeing a version of her madness, that it's actually a manifestation on the screen or in their world. Like,
What I'm saying is this: there are scenes that we don't see. Obviously, there are instances where she's abusive to him, and it's happened before, and there's other things that go on. But also, obviously, there is, in my opinion, there is a Babadook that shows up, and it can clearly be seen by her. We know that for a fact. It's on the television. We see it. He sees it when he's in the car. He sees it when it comes around, and when he's sitting right next to his mother. They are looking at something. And then, of course, the end, which I probably still have at the very end. Not the very end, but what happens in the basement at the end, I still have a problem with. And I wish that was dealt with more just on a psychological level instead of showing us something happening again. But the way I see it, this Babadook, it's almost like a supernatural creature that feeds off of grief and therefore causes more. But grief is still a psychological thing. So
Why are you
I
being
see it as
cryptic?
an equal. What's
we're
that?
spoiling. So what is it that you don't like at the end? Sorry for interrupting. I just want to make
Okay,
sure
no,
I'm under.
No. Okay, at the end.
When it tries to attack
Why-
her.
Why is it? Well, not even that. But why would it be necessary to take worms and dirt and bring it down there and have the fucking stuff pulled away and have it? To me, if this is psychological, the way it should have ended is there is no more. She goes downstairs. She looks around the room. Her husband's stuff is still there, and maybe she talks to him for like 30 seconds, like addresses him. Hi, honey. Our son is doing well today. We did this. We're okay with this. Just that she deals with it on a different level, where she talks to him and somehow feels, comfort from him that she can do that and still move on with her life, instead of having it look like there's still a fucking thing down there. Which to me, you're seeing the thing fly across the floor. If you're gonna say this is purely psychological, then she's still fucking nuts, because she's seeing this thing fly across the floor.
I think that's.
purely
She's not nuts, but I think it's always there. It's just she's
Yeah.
been able to deal with it, and she has to now take herself out of the situation and excuse herself to go do it, like like a parental timeout, like you go, okay, I got to remove myself from the situation because I'm making it worse, and she's just learned how to cope with it, but it will always be with her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
I get that.
just like that shadow that's always behind her. Like she will, especially around this time of year, it will always be there, lurking and ready to come out at all times. Yeah. Almost kind of like addiction. How like addiction will always be around. Like, and if you fall off the wagon, you're going to be right down that same path again. So I think it's just her way of kind of putting the beast at ease, like when she's starting to feel that way. Though the whole worms thing, I don't know what that's about specifically, right. But I know like maybe it's like supposed to be like a visual representation of her feeding that grief and anger to just make it stay back.
Don't forget, it's also the kid gathering the worms, so it's from a child's perspective.
Oh, yes,
like
that's true.
Feeding the monster to appease it.
Yes,
but
that's actually a good point.
I see it. Yeah, I mean, I know Dave already hinted at this, but I see it 100% psychological.
Yeah, I'm about 75% psychological, 25% supernatural, because there are like certain scenes in that third act where the mother is just standing there, and all of a sudden the boy just gets grabbed out of thin air and thrown against the wall, and it's like, but the mother isn't even near him at that point. So that's where I'm kind of going, is there a little bit of a like, it leaves me questioning. So I'm about 75%.
Pulled right up the fucking stairwell, like Paranormal Activity type stuff.
Yeah, so like, when she pretty much like, because that was at that turning point for her when she ends up like, realizing that it was her, and she gets Babadook is out of her now. And that's when it like all of a sudden starts just physically grabbing her son. So so I think there is just like a small bit of supernatural, but like I'm still more psychological, because there may be something that could describe that, but I'm just not smart enough to catch it myself.
Just the ending scene is what, I don't want to say ruins it for me, but ruins that idea for me that it's psychological more than anything. I mean, there are those scenes towards the end when they both can see it. They're looking at it in the hallway. They see these giant arms, and it's getting closer, and then it falls, and they're both sitting there looking at it. So I look at it, it's a manifestation of her grief that's been projected into the real world, which we've seen before in other movies where somebody manifests something and then it comes out. Therefore, it becomes a supernatural entity. And that's what I see it is.
I think it's her. I think it's her. I think it's her doing it, but I think it's sort of like a high tension thing. It would have looked weird had they shown like her dragging the kid upstairs, so they kind of presented it as a supernatural, but I do think it's her.
Yeah, like, I mean, because at the same time,
I know Scott, you said that she throws up the evil, which you do. You see her throw it out, but like you said, it's never fully gone, so it's still. She's coming back. She's coming back to reality, but there's still some of that in her. And I'm glad they didn't show like an ending where it's like, oh, here's what's really going on, and she's like dragging him up the stairs by his hair and like pushing him against the wall.
That'd be like the soft flashback ending.
Yes.
And she's like chucking him around. But the reality is, you're right. I think it is like I'm with B. I take it as all psychological. For once, I agree with him. Who knew? That power of the hats. Black hat power.
It's just the ending. It's that basement scene that always just throws me.
Just black power.
Oh God.
Dildo power. That's you too.
I
the ending throws me off. When she has to go down there, that's the thing that takes away the psychological aspect for me. Because obviously, why would she still be seeing if she defeated it? And I get the whole the sentiment of it's always going to be there. I get that. I just wish they would have portrayed it as it's no longer a being like that. Like the fact that, although I do like what Scott said, the child had the idea, or maybe not had the idea, but gathered the mud and the worms, said, okay, go down there and feed it. Maybe he casted that idea into her head. It's still there, Mom, but you got to feed it. So it can be very psychological. I don't know. See?
Yeah, because this kid has a very high imagination too, so I think that's where like the supernatural elements come into play, like because I am starting to lean more towards it's all psychological, but like the supernatural stuff they show on the screen could be a lot of this child's imagination of the Babadook, because as a child he does see the Babadook as a monster and not his mother.
Right. And what about the stuff on the TV that the woman said? I love those fucking movies, by the way. Those old black and white movies. And then he shows up. that stuff is great, and not just that. The part when she watches the news and sees her future played out, that she killed her son and all that.
There's a lot of good imagery on the TV. She's watching like these old Hollywood romantic comedies because she longs for that. Like she's she's broken, but also they show like the horror movies. I think at one point she's watching Black Sabbath.
Yep, and Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, Phantom of the Opera, and she's watching
a lot of
George Malay's films. Yeah,
the magician ones, right?
Yeah. Those are terrifying looking. And then I love the look of the Babadook.
Yes.
I love that he looks like a pop-up horror character right out of a book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you look at him and you're just like, that just looks unnatural.
Yeah.
And I love that, especially because it's like I love the placement of him when she looks over at her neighbor's house and she sees him in the closet.
That's the best. That's the best scare.
Image.
That's the best scare in the movie for me. Seeing the Babadook. Yep.
And I didn't notice it the first couple times.
Oh, I mean,
just like you didn't notice Michael in front of the cover.
Her look, though, when you're talking about when she sees the newscast, the look of her in the window.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's the creepiest to me. Like that look, just her smile, the way it's lit, is terrifying.
I agree. It reminds you of the way those people smile in Insidious when they go downstairs and they look at him and their heads tilt really quick and they're in their room and they had that smile there are some things about this. What's he?
I was going to say one image from the Black Coat's daughter. I think I remember that was it, which is another one I got to revisit this year. I've been on a tear of revisiting all the Neon Demon. My daughter watched Midsommar and Hereditary with me, and now I want to go back and watch the Black Coat's daughter again. But ultimately, I remember that one shot. There was just a scene that really creeped me out when she's like looking down, and it was just the way she was kind of smiling and looking. It stuck in my head.
Shipka or
yes,
was it Kieran Shipka?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I gotta watch that part again. I didn't remember the creep out part, but I think there's so many scary things that I never paid attention to before until watching it last night. I noticed it more than ever. There's some scary images, and I love the way they do the score, and not just and when I say where they do it, I do like the score a lot. I think it's great, but where they choose to use it, there's certain ways they use it. Like when she opens the book, they play that high pitch fucking. It almost sounds like crickets chirping in the background, and there's different things they do throughout. It's the where they implement the score is genius timing. I think it really works, man.
Yeah, I'll just say the sound alone in this film, like even like the noises the Babadook makes, it's like so unnatural and just creepy. Even when it sounds like it's almost like a dinosaur.
Uh-oh.
What?
It'll come back.
So, like screeching, unnatural sound. Yeah, dinosaur. Well, because that's what I picture when I hear that noise. I've heard that noise before, like in other movies, but like it reminds me of like a raptor scream or something.
Right? Yeah, man.
So yeah, just the sound design in this is just really freaking effective and creepy because it's like there's a lot of mixing issues I've noticed with movies where it's super quiet dialogue, really loud everything else, and this one it had like that perfect blend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really good
it's
stuff.
like a character. Yeah, you're right because it's what amps up the tension. What is that?
What are you showing us?
It's like an ex-girlfriend of mine.
That's Dinah Shore.
Oh
we were
my
just
lord!
Talking about her.
Okay.
Oh, dinosaur. Sorry, I thought you said Dinah
Someone's
Shore.
in the kitchen with Dinah.
Honestly, Scott, I mean, I'm glad. Like you are. Just feel free to backhand him, Ghost Dad style.
Hey.
I'm tempted to just choke his ass.
Yeah.
Did I just go blurry?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
did.
You
Thank
sure did. You
the
figured
gods
out
have
the
listened. Blur his voice, gods. Oh, he left. He loves. And now he's back. Look at you.
No, I did that on purpose.
Oh, okay.
I knew. I read it the whole time. I know what you're up to. So that's my thing about it, the psychological aspect of it. If it is psychological, why did she see the newscast of herself being dead and that stuff on the TV? That would she should be certifiable. If you're able to see shit that freaking, think about this. And I'm sure we all are. We're very we feel bad for someone that has to undergo any type of psychological, has anything going wrong in their brain that way. But if you get to the point that you're seeing stuff like that on your television, to me, the indication would be, I don't care if it's grief, depression, or what, you need some type of help that can't be.
I assume she is getting help at the end. I mean, we do have the social services people who come, and I think she accepts her grief and is getting help at the end. I don't think she's just dealing with it on her own and decide, I'm going to bury it in the basement. I think she's actually dealing with it and getting better.
Yeah,
She needs some medication.
And I was saying about that news segment. Yeah. I think what we are seeing is her being completely sleep deprived because like her son's waking her up when she's exhausted. The Babadook had kept her up the night before. Like, so I don't think she's sleeping because you can even look in her eyes. Like, their eyes are just bloodshot and she's like just staring like a zombie. So I think she is hallucinating or doing a lucid dreaming where because she's probably in her thoughts of darkness thought about killing her son before. So what she's seeing on the screen is her lucid dreaming. Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I agree.
But
that makes sense.
But yeah, I think it's just her lucid hallucinations that she's seeing played out on the TV screen, like of what she's thought of in her head.
That good. Oh, you know what? That works. Yeah. Yeah. Sleep deprivation will do all kinds of. It takes.
Don't kill me.
It's not that type of dog.
No, but you said you had a Bichon. That's a Bichon.
Oh, my Bichon don't look like that. Look at that poofy head. Looks like it's the size of the moon. Oh, good God.
Yeah, the dog in the movie is definitely not a Bichon, but that's a.
You don't think so? It looks a lot like my dog.
Looks like a terrier, some sort of terrier.
Maybe it is. That Bichon you just showed us was out of proportion for sure. There's no question. Its head was way too big for its body.
Well, it's just the fur.
Well, whatever it is, it was definitely out of proportion. It looks off.
You're out of proportion.
It's okay. One of my cats is out of proportion. Oreo's head is the same size it was when he was a kitten, but his body continues to grow. He's and I tell him he's out of proportion. And there he is, the out of proportion cat. Okay. Some people are too, you know.
Yeah,
it's true.
Your attitude's out of proportion.
It might be. It might be.
And Brandon, your attitude needs an abortion.
Yeah.
Don't encourage him. Don't encourage him.
I love it.
Hey, can you insert those cricket sounds that they play during the Babadook after Scott's joke?
I could. And I will. No.
Just those ones. I'll tell you, this is a movie thing that happens, and it bothers me every time. It happened in this movie, and it happened in New Nightmare. And both times I saw it, I said to myself, that would never happen to my child. Obviously, it's the scene when he climbs up the fucking all the way to the top of that jungle gym, and when that kid does it in New Nightmare. Again, I'm not saying I'm the world's greatest parent, but I can tell you this: at no time, especially at that age, would my daughter be out of my sight for that long of time, especially if she's not right next to me, that either one of those children would have made it that high up onto some fucking thing without me
noticing.
But
she doesn't care. That's the thing. Like, I think that was the show. She's so interested in being involved in the conversation with her sister, right? That's her sister. That he's out of sight, out of mind. Done. Entertain yourself, and then boom.
Okay.
She's brought back to reality.
I think
back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity.
Oh, there goes gravity. Yeah, fuck.
Good call. You're right. As far as New Nightmare, I don't know. That whole movie.
Freddie carries him over the bridge.
But yeah, I had to look at my notes before, to make sure. Dirty Hands, Inc? ? We talked about that.
Dirty Hands.
Dirty Hands.
Ham hands.
Nasty bugs. That's nasty,
Oh yeah, the maggots and everything crawling all over.
Yeah, the disgusting looking kitchen. Then when they walk in, like the food looks perfect, everything looks good.
Yeah. Ugh.
Man.
Again, I definitely just enjoy the hell out of this film. Like there's so much to just kind of take away from it. It's like just so layered.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It is really good.
I think it's very layered.
It's shot well. I like the dreary inside of it. Everything's kind of like a shade of like a sad looking blue, but like different shades of it. It's like very dreary, right?
It almost looks like the inside of the house almost looks like the pop-up book. The way it's just drab black and white shades.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the text inside the book speaks to her mental illness about, the longer you deny me, the stronger I get, stuff like that. It's I don't think it's like that stuff is like overly, it's not subtle. It's right there for you to sort of in plain sight, but it's just well done. It's effective. The supernatural aspects that we see are effective, and it just makes for a good psychological, if you want to say supernatural, I wouldn't argue it. I don't think it is, but if you want to say supernatural horror film also, it's fine by me. But it's cool nonetheless.
I think maybe you are right. I think you guys have helped me through.
But I love the look of the supernatural aspects they show us anyway.
Oh, they're fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
They really are. I think that it's one of the rare movies where characters do annoying or maybe borderline bad thing. Well, definitely bad things for the mother, but yet you still find yourself really caring and feeling bad for them. Definitely, I feel bad for the kid the whole time, no matter what. And the mother, even though she does bad things, you do feel bad for her when she goes to that party and those women are talking about, oh yeah, some of those poor disadvantaged mothers and this and that. And I see what she's saying, when she gets offended kind of at that woman, like, playing it down. And she goes, I help these disadvantaged women. And then she goes, oh, I don't have time to do this. And she's living high on the hog, or, you know what I mean? At the same time, when she opens her mouth about it, I'm like, yeah. I go, you go.
Cock of the walk.
Well, I'm saying, you can kind of, like you said, you can feel for her and relate with her, because it's like what she's dealing with at the same time, like with a kid that's just so high energy and wanting her attention all the time. Like, I've known parents where it's just like they just need a break. They need to get away for a second, and she just can't with him. And of course, her other mental illnesses on top of that just makes her just snap.
Yeah. Damn. Great
What
stuff.
do you rate it?
Oh.
Let's do it. We do ratings on this show, too.
Yeah, I know you do.
You know that. Go ahead, Scott. You're the guest.
I would probably, just because I like I said, there's so many layers.
Scott Crawford, ladies and gentlemen.
It'll catch up. He does this all the time. It'll catch up. What?
On this rewatch, I noticed a lot more. I would probably give this 8.5 out of 10.
Right on. Cool.
Well,
go ahead, Z.
I was just going to say I agree. 8.5 out of 10 is a fair rating for this. I think I liked it more than the first time I watched it, which I think I came in at like 8. So it's fine. This is only the second time for me watching this film, and yeah, I think that's
same here.
Yep, great score. 8.5.
Nice. Well, I'm a 9. I really love the movie. Yeah, it's always been between, like, the lowest I probably ever got it down was an 8. It's always been between an 8 and a 9, but I'm right back where I once was with it. I really enjoyed it last night more than I have before. So, yep.
Yeah, it moves along well too. It's a quick paced film, really well done. 2 out of 10. No, 8.5 black hats out of 10.
Nice.
Wow.
Perfect. Look at that.
Nice. I'm the
Hall of
highest.
Fame, baby. Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Hall of Fame.
Is it really?
No, it's not.
Not
I was
quite.
gonna say, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Not quite. And we're back. We're discussing if we're going to do Fango or not. The Fango stuff I have is mostly stuff that was pulled from articles in there.
Wait, I have something.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay. Got it. Wait. Okay. Tom and Jerry's playing. Chaos Walking. Boogie. SpongeBob movie. Monster Hunter. I was doing Fandango. Oh, Fango. Oh, I thought you said Fango. Sorry.
Damn.
I wish we didn't hit record yet. In this case.
I wish we hit mute on you, you fucking skunk prick.
That was good. I won't do any letters this week. I only have one from issue 3 for next time. We're still on issue 2. Issue 2, which we can't see. Prophecies on the cover. But I'm highlighting things that I pick up in the articles, which are interesting, and bringing them in. So this was an interview with Don Coscarelli. And this was before people actually got to see Phantasm. This is 1979 still, and it wasn't out exactly yet. October 79. Or maybe it was. Either way. They're talking about it. Here's some interesting things I pulled out of it. What he did was 2 movies.
Sorry, Dave, you disappeared.
Oh, okay. What, visually or
Yeah,
or-
visually you just got there. You are.
There you are.
He did 2 movies prior to Phantasm. One was called Jim, the World's Greatest, and another one was called
Jim K. From Toronto.
Yeah, Jim K, the World's Greatest, and Kenny.
Kim K is just okay.
Jesus is just okay. Oh no, it's not okay. It's all right. Sorry, it's all right with me, not okay. Same thing though. Okay, all right. Anyway, and another one was something called Kenny and Company. So what was interesting about this is, okay, I'll read a little bit here. Jim did little at the box office, which Coscarelli attributes to the Universal Sales Department's reluctance to get behind the film. A similar fate almost befell the second Coscarelli film, a comedy called Kenny and Company, says Coscarelli. 20th Century Fox bought it because they thought it might be another Benji, but it isn't Benji. It concerns a group of kids who are preparing for a Halloween celebration. All through the film, the kids are pretty sane, while the adults act kind of crazy, and the humor grows out, pardon me. Fox didn't know how to approach it, and the approach they didn't work. It's been tuning up on cable TV lately, so people are finally getting a chance to see it. So now, this is the funny thing. Mike, last year, Kenny and Company surprised everyone by becoming a huge success in Japan. Michael Baldwin, before he had the A on his name, who stars as Mike Pearson in Phantasm, makes his film debut in Kenny and Company as an undisciplined youngster who habitually tells off the adult characters in the film. This sort of thing is unheard of in Japan, where a tradition of family honor still has a powerful hold. Japanese audiences loved Baldwin's sassiness and made the picture a big success. In a recent poll, Baldwin was voted one of the 10 most popular stars in Japan. So, Michael Baldwin was voted one of the most 10 popular stars
That's
of Japan
hilarious.
in 1979. Yeah. Let's see. Here's something else interesting I got into. Many people find the most remarkable effect to be the silver sphere, says Coscarelli, and that was designed by a mechanical engineer named Willard Green. Green was quite an inventive old fellow, and had worked for one other film, Alligator, which has never been released. He built a 25-foot mechanical alligator suit designed to be worn by 2 men. Great looking thing. Unfortunately, Willard died before Phantasm was completed and never got to see the sphere on the film. So I looked into this guy. Yeah. And I looked into him, this William Green guy, and I looked up the movie Alligator from 1980 or whatever year it was, 80, 81, and he wasn't credited into the department. So I did some more digging, and sure enough, he did build this mechanical suit that was operated by some people, but was only used in a handful of scenes, so he never got credit.
You could say you did some investigatoring. Look at Christian's face, like I'm off the show, like that's.
I'm dumbfounded. Although that was quick-witted.
Thank you.
Yeah. Can I just smash the real Brandon?
That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
I'll give you money.
Just picture with a big wrench stuck down the side of his face.
I'll give you
Kenny
money
and
for
Company. Perfect. Just ship me that tin Friday the 13th set. We'll call it Even Steven.
I believe in Canada it's called Letterkenny and Company.
Kenny and Company is free on YouTube.
You know what said it.
It's free on YouTube?
It's on YouTube, so you can watch
definitely
it.
curious
I
to
just checked while you're talking. Yeah.
Wow, nice.
Canadian YouTube.
Now, there's an article called Two Faces of Fright. Faces, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. The director...
There they are.
The director Robin Mamolian recalls the intricacies of creating Frederick March's horrific quality during the filming of the 1932 screen classic. One of the interesting things about the early Fangos, 1, 2, 3, the single-digit ones, is that they were kind of catering to a lot
Which
of
one? 1, 2, 3?
No, all the single digits, I would say.
All the single digits. All the single digits. I'm sorry.
Son of a... You just wanted him to say it again. I love it. Look at Scott's reaction. He's in hell.
He's in hell.
I'm in hell. I can't believe I did that joke. I can't believe I did a Beyonce joke again.
Oh my god.
Amazing.
Again, like I don't know if I've done it before.
Probably.
Knowing you, probably.
That's the thing about the early Fangorias. They were marketed, half of it was fantasy. They were fantasy. They even used the word a lot. Like, towards the end, there's an article, and which one is it? Who are they talking about? No, prophecy. Either one, they say, I want to say it's Richard Matheson. Yeah, Master of Fantasy. They don't say horror. They use the horror, but it's like 50% of it's horror, 50% of it's fantasy, and half of the horror they discuss or have articles about is about the old school stuff. You know, the Universal monsters and everything else, some Hammer, which is interesting because at the time there wasn't a whole lot. I mean, there was. In 1979, there was a whole lot of modern horror, but there was still a heavy emphasis on the early stuff. And they slowly transitioned out of it. That's what's really interesting about going through these old Fangorias to see, you know, what they ended up being and how they started. But like, I don't have issue 1 yet, but it's still too expensive, and I will get it eventually, but I'm not gonna do something stupid. But I'm really curious about the evolution of it. But they're talking about this movie, and I found it really odd about Jekyll and Hyde and how so many iterations there were of this movie. And I'm just gonna read them real quick because it kind of was shocking to me. The many possibilities of this type of story soon attracted the developing movie industry. Many movie versions of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde have been produced for the silver screen. Among them are the first 1908 production by Selig Polyscope, a 1910 Danish version by Nordisk, a U.S. version directed by Lucas Henderson, a 1913 British version by Kinema Color, and the following U.S. films: in 1913 by IMP with King Baggett and Jane Golly, in 1920 by the Pioneer Film Corp. I don't know, Gale, sorry. Produced by Louis B. Mayer and starring Sheldon Lewis. In 1920 by Paramount, directed by John S. Robertson and starring John Barrymore. And in 1932 by Paramount, which is the one. And in 1941, directed and produced by Victor Fleming. All of those, could you believe that there was that many Jekyll and Hydes between 1908 and 1941? I had no idea about this stuff.
I would have thought there had only been the Universal one at that point.
Right? Yeah.
I honestly think the person
crazy.
that wrote that article is two-faced in their line. Look at Christian again. He's like, fuck. Why didn't I think of that?
That was a good joke, but just dumb.
Please stop.
Amazing. Now there's an article about Dracula Fever, because they had 1979's Dracula starring Frank Langella. That's when it was being made. So they're talking about this, and I didn't know this, but it said Frank Langella's wry and seductive performance in the 1978 stage version of Dracula has been indicated by many as the starting point for the current wave of vampire mania sweeping the country. So I didn't know this, but they got him to do it because he was doing it on stage, Frank Langella. And then he got the role in the 79 movie, and then, you know, apparently Dracula Fever took the nation, which I don't recall.
I've got Dracula Fever.
Damn it, I was about to say I called Pac-Man Fever, but never Dracula Fever. Did you know that Dracula was a vegetarian? He hated eating steaks.
Oh.
That should have been he hates steaks.
Suicide before telling that joke. I tossed myself off the Empire State Building before lowering myself to that joke.
I still can't get over that Dave looks like he's in a fucking level of Candy Crush.
Well, I'll change it. Next time.
I like it.
It'll be a different tie-dye.
Now, it feels like I'm watching the Inagata Davida video from
Yes.
Freddy's dead.
Let's. Oh yeah. What does he
Let's
say?
trip
Does he-
out. Hey Spence, let's
Yes.
trip out.
Let's trip out. Amazing. Oh, I love that scene, and everything comes out of the TV. That's one of the saving graces of that film.
Oh, for sure. Love that.
I dig that. Now, Richard Matheson, I'll just talk about it for a minute. It's actually a two-part interview. There's part in issue 2 and issue 3. So I found this interesting about Matheson and Romero and the influence, and then something else that he says later about his version to some of the stuff he's written and his distaste for them. But he's talking about I Am Legend is a story of a worldwide epidemic of vampirism that led to the film adaptations The Last Man on Earth from 1953 and The Omega Man from 1971. This book is also acknowledged by George A. Romero to be the main source of inspiration for his films Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. So.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I wouldn't have thought about it at the time, but yeah, that's his ideas there. And then one more thing here about Matheson. He is not happy with what happened with those movies. He still doesn't think that, well, at this time, even 1979, that they did it right. And he talks a little bit about Corman here. He says, when asked to recount his working experience at Roger Corman, a man who has become one of the greatest cult figures in fantastic cinema, Matheson pauses for a moment and then answers, as a director, Corman was always very efficient and pleasant. We got along very well together. I don't think that he was a film director in the sense that he dealt with actors, though. Actors would ask Roger questions, and he would say something like, do whatever you want. Which worked out all right when you had... when you had old pros.
The actor.
Psycho Corman?
Not my hunky boys.
Do whatever you want worked out when you had all the old pros who would do what they wanted to do anyway, but there were a lot of young people in those films who couldn't act very well, and a different director might have helped them a bit more. Corman was a camera director, a visual director. He was very good at that. So I just thought that was funny. He said, go. And then here's the ending part. He says, one of the greatest disappointments in Matheson's film career is closely related to one of his greatest triumphs, the various film incarnations of his classic novel I Am Legend. I Am Legend was originally to be made by Hammer Films in the late 1950s, he recalls. So I went over to England and I wrote a script for them, which the censor subsequently scuttled as being too violent. I've never been able to understand that, especially in light of some of the bloody things Hammer was doing then. In any event, the property was sold to independent producer called Robert Lippert. Lippert subsequently met with me and told me that he was going to get Fritz Lang to direct. And I was so excited, as he's done Metropolis. I rewrote the script, and it was really great. It was I Am Legend right down to the teeth. But then, while this producer turned around and hired some guy who I won't name for a rewrite, and this fellow just tore the hell out of it. I hated it so much when I put my pen name, Logan Swanson, who has really written some insufferable garbage on it. Then to make matters worse, instead of Lang, they hired a director named Sidney Salkow to do it. They also hired Vincent Price for the lead. Now, Price is a fine actor, but he was all wrong for that part. In the end, they even went to Italy to shoot it. It was a very depressing experience. They haven't done I Am Legend yet, as far as I'm concerned. So...
I still need to see that one with Vincent Price and the Omega Man. I've never actually watched those originals.
There's I have a Blu-ray. Yeah. It has both of them on them. It has I Am Legend and Omega Man on it.
Oh, nice. I think I have the Vincent Price collection that has I Am Legend on it.
There you go. That's cool.
So when you're talking about the Dracula from 1979 or 78, whenever it came out, I kept, and I brought this up on the show before, there was a show that came out at that time frame called Cliffhangers. And I thought it was that movie broken down for TV. Turns out it wasn't, but there is a Dracula segment. It's 3 stories that were told. And the series, I guess the season was about 11 episodes long, but the Dracula story was told in the first 10 episodes, and they're all on YouTube. So I can't wait to go revisit that because I remember it kind of being intrigued, but of course scared because I was only 5 years old when I think the show hit. And so now I just realized YouTube is fantastic for this, and all the episodes are there. So if you're a Dracula completist, so do I. So if you're a Dracula completist or just want to check it out, there's the Dracula segment from the show Cliffhangers there.
And
it's the full show.
We'll leave those cliffhangers for next week.
Like we've always done. Yeah.
Now there's more in issue number 2 that I want to get into, but it would take a little long. But issue 3, there is only one letter I wanted to read, so I figured we had just enough time to read the one letter. And I'm going, because Christian, it's going to apply to you. So check this. Canadian cuts. My favorite article, issue number 1, on issue number 1, was the interview with Tom Savini of Dawn of the Dead. That's why I got to get that freaking magazine. From the article, I was expecting a very terrifying motion picture with plenty of gore. Instead, I was sorely disappointed with Romero's sequel to one of the greatest horror pictures of all time. The ghouls were portrayed as buffoons. I have a further complaint that does not rest with the movie makers, but with the censors. The film I saw here in Ontario was heavily censored. The photo on page 12 of your mag shows an exploding head. This did not appear in the film I saw. According to Savini, the hero drives a screwdriver into the ear of a ghoul on camera. I saw Steve grab the screwdriver and saw his arm swinging to connect, and then the ghoul died. Not one drop of blood. Also missing is the effect that Savini says almost always gets applause, when the spinning blades of a helicopter take off the top of the head of an attacking ghoul. These are just 3 examples I noticed because of your article. How many more scenes might be missing unnoticed? And if the movie is restricted to begin with, why in God's name cut off the violence? David Seaburn, London, Ontario, Canada. Here's the answer. We spoke to Dawn's producer, Richard Rubenstein, about your letter. Neither George nor I are happy to see the deletions made by the Canadian government censors, says Rubenstein. You know that we went to great lengths to see that it was shown intact in the U.S. Because of the Canadian system, the only other alternative to censorship would have been for Canadian fans to just not have seen the film at all. Weird, huh?
Yeah, I've read that letter before,
Really?
and yeah, because I had that issue way back in the day, and I got them all digital as well. But I don't agree. I understand there are a lot of people that didn't like the fact that they're treated like buffoons, but that's, I mean, I love that. I mean, that's why it's my favorite horror film. But
didn't Dawn come out in like '84 in Canada?
No, you jackass, it didn't. So the theatrical version, of course, I guess suffered from that, but I was too young to know or care because I wouldn't have seen it in the theater. But when it hit video, it was in the regular version, the version we all know. So
in Quebec,
it was a non-issue for me.
The con cut.
That's good. I kind of figured as much. I kind of figured for you weren't seeing it in '79. Now I didn't know what would happen when. You know, obviously.
Because my dad wasn't into gore or horror, really. Like I said, the furthest he went was like, he liked Hitchcock and he liked The Innocents, which is what I saw. But I mean, like I never, at that age, like I wouldn't have seen any of that.
Right.
The Innocents.
So by the time it came to VHS, this is something I always wanted to ask you. You talk about the movie ratings in Canada and how they differ from in the States. Now, when you went to rent VHS as a child.
At video.
And video.
Pizza.
When you looked on the box, did it have the Canadian ratings, or was it the same? Like, I don't think I've ever seen a VHS box that had a Canadian rating on it.
PG-34, right?
At the time, this fucking guy. At the time,
like
I might be talking out of line, but I just remember it would be rated R. Or it'd be rated PG at the time. Maybe when the 90s hit, or the late 80s, early 90s, they started putting the Canadian rating on there as well, which would have been like then 14A, and it probably was more in the 90s. You know, PG 14A or 18A are restricted.
Well,
so
it's like they're seating you at an event. This is your seat, 18A, 14A. Sir, you're in 14A, you're in 18A.
What, you're going to see a 14A movie and you're in seat 14A.
Well, no, I mean, when you say it out loud, it sounds Canadian. 14, eh?
Oh, brilliant!
That was
Maybe
the
there is
only
a way.
funny joke cracked in the last 30 seconds.
So when you went to video stores in the 80s, they were all the U.S. versions of videotapes, is what I basically
From my
what I'm getting
understanding.
to. Okay,
Yeah.
so by the time that happened, obviously, if you saw Dawn of the Dead, it was just a regular one that put out by media or whoever the hell put them out at the time. Okay.
Yep.
Interesting. So they loosened up between 1979 and the mid 80s with videotapes, because if you went to the theater and saw it in Canada, you saw the censored version. Then years later, you see it on videotape, and it's completely. That would have been exciting, though. The horror story.
I think no different than a lot of them. You'd always see the cut for like there's only a few instances where I knew that we went an extra step in censoring. It sounds like Dawn of the Dead. I know that Friday the 13th Part 5 was banned in like one of the province or censored in Ontario. It was weird. It was just like a handful that I remember got extra censorship or some other weird thing. But then once video hit, everything would be kind of intact.
That's cool. And I tell you, the evolution of the zombies in his thing, I've always not complained about it because everything else about the movies were so good in the Dawn and Day. But I wish they would have remained just as they were in Night. To me, that Night's the scariest. Pardon me?
Black and white.
Is it black and white?
Yeah, I remember the movie in color and the zombies black and white. That would have been something, huh?
That could have been like what they used for Video Dead.
Right. Oh, that would have been cool. Shit.
Yeah.
But they were badass and freaky. They were scary. I prefer the zombies from Night over the others. The way they evolved in each movie was a little, I don't know, more. But then it got to ridiculous heights by the time they got to freaking Land and the other one. Just, yeah.
Them trying to remember how to drive cars in Survival of the Dead. I'm like, oh boy,
Oh.
we're going this route.
They literally, it's like they were the same zombies from the first one, 6 movies later, and they evolved as if they were born as children and their brains matured, which would make no sense. If anything, it would be the opposite. They'd be decaying more.
Yeah, exactly.
They should be reverting to barely being able to move. Yeah, that's funny.
That is so true.
Yeah, it's weird. Well, we got to get on this Sun movie here.
Yeah,
Sun.
let's do it. Christian's already left, so that's good.
That's his opinion on the movie. He already left. Fuck it. So, and we'll go into spoilers at the end. I think there's a question or two.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. Sun time. What's that, Christian?
Nothing. I had to get something to eat. Nice try, though. Nice try, you fuck.
Nice try. Doesn't work anymore. I can't do it. All right, here we go. Sun from 2021, written and directed by Ivan Kavanaugh. When a young boy contracts a mysterious illness, his mother must decide how far she will go to protect him from terrifying forces in her past.
Okay. So, based upon a little jibber jabber that we had before on our
Jibber jabber.
What your jibber jab?
That's it. I couldn't remember what we said.
It seems as though Brandon has an issue with it and Scott does not. That's all I know so far, based upon, I don't know what Christian says. I know my opinion. For me, this movie's fine.
I know my opinion.
I'm glad you know your opinion.
Yeah, I know it. And this movie's fine with me. I'm really confused as to what they do at the end and why. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense, but that's kind of going to be spoiler. But I thought it was a well-made film. I don't think it's as good as The Canal, the other movie directed by Kavanaugh. I think he has another one after that. But I think this film is fine. But I don't know.
I have so many issues with it, and they might come across as nitpicks, but I could literally break down this whole movie and be like, I don't like that. That's dumb. That's stupid. This doesn't make sense. Why? What's their motive? What's the intention? This, that. The sound design is fucking awful. I hate movies where every 2 seconds is a fucking jump scare where you got to lower the volume on your TV and then you got to raise it back up because you can't hear them talking. I fucking hate that. There was one good scare in this movie, and it was the very first scare when she opens the door to her son's bedroom and the people are standing there. Fucking
that's creepy.
That fucking like drained the blood out of my fucking body. I was just like, I turned white. But everything else
Did it ever come back? He's still white.
Wait, turn around. Yeah, there's cum on your back.
Come back, Christian.
I don't understand why you have a hate on though for why it's so extreme. I like the movie. It's not fantastic, but I liked it. Again, it's a continuation of last year, and I'm finding we're just getting great cinematography lately, and it doesn't even seem to be a matter of the budget. And this movie looks great, and the acting is decent. I only laughed unintentionally once, where for whatever reason the director had the main girl like rocking, and I started laughing.
She was davening.
That was it.
Yeah,
she was good. But other than me laughing at that one spot, which is a nitpick, I thought she was good. The kid was okay. I thought they overplayed the connection that they had and the hunky-dory relationship they had. That felt a little forced, but I was fine with it.
Is this a David Bowie album or a fucking Ivan Kavanaugh movie? Everything's just fucking hunky-dory here.
But yeah, I really did enjoy it, but I do agree with Brandon like the sound design, like this one was very annoying with like the loud noises when something crazy happened and then very quiet talking. Like that does drive me nuts, and it always seems to be in certain horror films. But other than that though, I thought the acting was pretty good. The child actor I thought did pretty good, especially when like he was sick. Like some of the scenes where he was sick was just freaking scary, the way he was acting. And I just kind of dug the story, like in general, like sure they don't explain some things, but I kind of feel that's just like left as a mystery on purpose.
I feel it's lazy. They don't explain anything. The whole opening scene is this woman giving birth to a child. People are following her. And then we jump to 10 years later and it starts up again. How did she escape this for 10 years? Why didn't those guys just grab her in the diner? Why did they take the booth behind her and they're just following her? It doesn't make any sense to me. And then when we get the reveal of what's going on, why? To what end? And I know people are going to be like, well, you love Rosemary's Baby. They don't really explain.
Yeah, that was going to be kind of my argument.
But they do, at least from Guy's standpoint in Rosemary's Baby. You know, he did what he did for fame and fortune. You know, the Castavets and all the tenants and everything and the whole Satan worship and all that maybe it's more developed in the book. But here I'm just like, what? What a pedo?
I have no problem with the 10-year flash forward. It was more like, why is 10 years... Sorry. Excuse me. Why is 10 years the magical moment where he starts getting sick? Did they explain that part?
Yeah,
because the family came.
Yeah,
because those people came and they gave him flesh.
Yep, those people came and fed him flesh, and that's what caused
how did
him
they?
to get that
So
sickness.
Okay, fine. So that's that part. But then what is the? So they eluded them for 10 years, and then what was the? I thought it was him getting to the hospital that alerted everybody to the fact that there's this weird kid with a weird disease, and then maybe it traveled through the system to get back to the main people. How did they find them then? Because then I agree with Brandon. How did all of a sudden...
They looked for 10 years because the night she gave birth, she became fucking MacGyver, magically disappeared, and it took them 10 years to find her.
Moved one town over.
Yeah, she moved one town over. She establishes fake identities for them, and they're living a normal life in a nice house. And I have so many issues with it. It's so dramatically average, this film, that it angers me. I don't hate it in the point where I think it's garbage. It's just so average to me that it pisses me off.
I mean, you guys do bring up a good point about the whole like 10-year gap and like how do they find her? Because I was just kind of assuming like in those 10 years they were just in my head. This is, once again, the movie's not giving you anything to work off of, so this is all being pieced in my head. So I just assumed in those 10 years they've had people all over the place just kind of looking for her. And I think Emile Hirsch's character ended up having something to do with.
That's what I was going to say. the reveal that we get later on, which doesn't necessarily make sense, and I'll get to that, I guess, if we go to spoilers. I don't get that, but I mean, that's what I think. When somebody is inserted in there, and the way their relationship goes, I can see that as being done for a reason. So I get that, but now I agree with what Scott said, that these guys are making good points, because why would it take them 10 years to find them? They didn't go that far. That's what I don't. You're right. That is a good point, Brandon. Why did they go? Why did it take? That didn't cross my mind. My complaints about the movie would be, like I said, a question I'll have at the end scene, that reveal, and just that it's kind of derivative. You know what I mean? I would say that's derivative of things we've seen before, which is fine, but it didn't take the only new step that it took was that little reveal at the end, which I liked that they did it, but I was still confused with why. But I did laugh. I did laugh at something. There was unintentional comedy. The one scene in the beginning, which I do love the beginning, they show them how happy they are and everything else. I don't know. I like the introduction to them.
It's too hunky-dory.
Maybe it was too apple pie. Maybe so. But when two things I like. One thing I like that she runs across the street for help. For once in a movie, something happens in a house, and the person in that house just doesn't panic. They do the logical thing and they run to a neighbor. You never see this in movies, and you should see it more often. So I like that she did that. She ran across the street, but as much as I thought that was cool, no, what she said, she literally says this to the woman at the door. She says, "Call the police," and then she starts running away, and the woman says to her, "Who should I call?" The police. What do you mean, who? I just said call the police. Why are you asking?
I didn't even catch that. That's hilarious.
It's so funny. Who should I call?
I thought that becomes the film's biggest problem is the police and the connection and everything. I think that is what ends up spiraling this film a little bit more into the derivative. I wish they left that aspect out.
Right, because why did the cop do what he did? It doesn't make any sense. If we get a reveal later, it doesn't make sense that would happen. If anything, he would be aiding more in trying to, not let the person have any harm come to them and some other things. But when there comes to a scene when somebody gets shot, I'm like, well, why would you allow that to happen? Why not just have them shoot at a different body part, not shoot to kill? I don't get that. Wouldn't you want someone to? Wouldn't you want someone to
for a different body part?
And at first, when I was like, well, this detective comes in, and I'm like, man, he must be like me. He must really like attractive girls that are crazy, because like he's really settling down quick with this girl that he just met, who clearly is either seeing things that nobody else believes.
Just make out.
Right? Oh yeah, we just made out like a couple of teenagers. Right?
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Well,
How weird is it?
Emil Hirsch looks like he's 15. I mean, I know he's older, but he always looks young. So watching him as a detective making out, I don't know. It didn't fit for me.
I just thought it was weird that she was the girl from Halloween. 3 years later, from playing a freaking high schooler herself, she's like a mother now of a freaking whatever.
That was her, wasn't it? Holy crap.
Yeah, Andy Manichik. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. I thought she was going to call her grandmother,
Right.
You know what this movie could have used? A couple of fucking pumpkins.
Well, again, the acting's all decent enough, but I agree, Brandon. When I saw him, I'm like, oh, there's the dude from The Autopsy of Jane Doe or whatever. And then I'm like, but he was miscast. I'm not that he's a bad actor. He just doesn't seem old enough. I knew it was the girl from Halloween after I looked it up.
Right. It's not Jamie Lee Curtis. What are you talking about?
Yeah. But I thought it was. I bought her in that role. Okay. He did seem miscast.
It just felt off. I also. Go ahead, Scott.
I think personally, I think it's almost supposed to be like where you feel like he's miscast just because of what he is. Like maybe like he's supposed to stand out and not like fit in like as a typical detective or cop.
And I'll buy that. That works. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Unlike Christian, I will not buy that or get behind it. But I still like you a lot.
Aw, my heart.
More than a friend.
Okay, here's
Oh,
my
snap.
question. Oh
Evan.
boy.
It's evident.
Grab Asson.
Of course. Here's my question now. How come when one person visits another one that they haven't seen since childhood, they have a discussion, and they tell them, wait a minute, what you're telling me isn't true. This didn't happen. There was none of. She was taking the side that the cops were taking, who weren't believing her. She was telling a story. Nobody believed it. The cops didn't believe it. Then she goes and she sees somebody, and he tells her, hey, this actually happened when we were kids. It was this. It was a cult. It was this. It was yada. And she's like, no, that's all in your head. Why would she say that? Then later on, we see that she really believes it. That made no sense to me, that part.
Please, she forms a relationship with Paul, the detective, and she doesn't open up to him until they're in the hospital much later on about it. And they've established trust at this point.
Well, like, also, she didn't remember a lot of, like, because of, like, her going to the mental hospital because of her trauma. They made her forget a lot of this stuff. So, like, but yeah, I do agree with the whole, so I can see why she didn't tell the cop. But, like,
Yeah, but she did. She did tell the cop. You guys are missing something here. She said I was in a cult.
Yeah, but that's, like, way too late to bring that up.
She was into cult.
Listen,
Fire lady or whatever that was called.
Fire woman, smoke,
Fire lady.
Fire lady. It's like a wrestler from the 80s. The Fire Lady. No, she tells the cop in the hospital that I was in a cult. Okay, now flash forward about half an hour later in the movie.
Yeah, she goes see some friend.
And he tells her about a cult, and she says, "No, that never happened. This is all in your head.
No,
it was this."
because she thinks it's one type of cult. She thought it was a pedo cult, and he says, "No, it wasn't a pedo cult. It was a Satan worship cult."
Yeah, because he was even saying, like, a lot of that stuff that you're being told was not true.
Yeah,
like he was like, you were the one that could actually do the chanting correctly and things like that.
Yeah, it was actually what was going on, and I really would like to. I think she should have gone into the cult. Like what? Like why? What's the point of this?
Yeah, but she believed it because she was doing those signs. He is coming. She was trying to masquerade it to look like it was this badass cult that was using blood and talking about somebody coming. So if she believes in that, why would she think that has anything to do with pedophilia?
That is a great point, actually, because I didn't think about that. But, like, yeah, why would she put that with their symbol, which obviously, like, that wouldn't be no pedo cult thing. That would be more of a just religious sect of a cult, I would assume.
Yes.
And yeah, like, she starts using that, but yeah, doesn't believe him. Okay, yeah,
that's what I meant. Seemed like she was on board, but then she gets there and she's, "Oh no, that didn't happen. We were just rented out. We were pimped out and this and that, and that was the end of it." I'm like, well, wait a minute. This goes against everything you've been saying and doing up until this point, and then that ends, and then she goes off, and then next thing you know, she's chanting. I'm like, wait.
Look. I mean, I find it ridiculous simply because of the fact that the kid is telling her about these crazy demonic dreams that he's having anyway. But the fact that she doesn't remember doesn't mean it still can't come across as satanic. It was clearly a satanic cult just because she didn't believe at that point that she was having sex with the devil,
Right.
So it doesn't mean that she still can't draw the symbol and write "He is coming," just to make it look like it's a crazy cult.
Literally right now in me.
She's covering up for her son.
Yeah, but she's dreaming about that. They show her dreaming, flashing towards the past, and they were at that one place a couple of times, and it said "He is coming." She took it from that, so she's aware.
But she's having visions and flashbacks, and it's coming back to her. It just hasn't reached that full potential yet. Of holy shit, the grand design was to bring about Satan's spawn. Yes. Yeah. But I didn't like, even from an effect standpoint, the fact that the kid kept breaking out and having these horrible rashes and sores and then miraculously healing. I didn't like that. We've seen
that many times. What do you mean?
I didn't like it. Really? I think
it made it go away.
I didn't like it.
Huh. Why? My I liked it because he was fed, healed, done.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
fine.
That's how I looked at
One
it.
of the things she has to liquor herself up. There's a sequence where she watches the pimp be a pimp, hates him, says, "Well, there's the food for my
There's
son."
the target.
But
yeah.
then she looks at the liquor store. Then it cuts to her downing a bottle of liquor. What for? Just to get the courage to talk to the guy? Because she doesn't do everything else she does. She could have done cold, like sober. She could have just said, "Hey, I want you to fuck me in the room."
No.
Yeah, I think what she had in her head was like, this may be taken a bit further, but then she's seen how aggressive he was, so she was getting scared.
She
And
needs
then
the
seen her son
courage to
coming up
do
behind him.
this. She's thinking about her child. She's thinking of
She used a bottle of vodka to calm the nerves and get
Yeah.
it out.
She's never done it
Especially-
before. Remember, this is
especially
the
for-
first time she's done this.
How many
say,
pimps
especially
have you
for what
fed
she's
to your
doing.
son?
Yeah.
5. Just the one from Demons and a few other scragglers. Like
The Rick James
just
one?
like
Rick James?
And
Rick
maybe
James,
she's
bitch.
shy. Maybe she's shy. Maybe she never talks to men. She's never that forward with men. And she figures if I drink, it'll give me that liquid courage to do that. I saw that as making perfect sense. I'm like, okay. And I knew where she was going to go. And I knew she was going to go talk to that guy based on what we'd seen before. I'm like, okay, she's going to take this step. To me, that it almost made perfect sense that she would need to do that.
The only scene in the
But,
movie I actually like.
that pimp scene.
Yeah, it was pretty.
When he chokes
that
her
was
out?
well shot. Yeah, where he chokes her, I got like a
Hard.
rock hard erection.
Yeah.
Like you could hang a fucking wet beach towel on it. That's how hard I was.
It's the first movie where he's yelling at the screen, "Hey, mother, don't have another." I don't know if you remember that. It's horrible. Did you remember when she's driving? Someone's calling her, and it's Tate. The last name is Tate,
Yeah, that's
and I'm like,
cool.
is this
Halloween
like
18.
is this no? It's actually H2O. Jamie Lee
Well, that's
Curtis.
what he said
Like,
that.
you think it was an in joke? Who said that?
Yeah, in Halloween 18, it was one of the callbacks because they were loaded with them in that movie.
Yeah.
That kid, the babysitter's boyfriend had a horse. Remember, he had that horse on a stick, and he goes, "Hey, meet my horse. It's named Tate." So
Yeah.
that's why.
Well,
I thought it
but
was a
it's also-
callback to Little Man Tate.
It's also Laurie Strode's name, or her new name in H2O.
But
I
that's
just
why
thought
he
that was
said it.
funny that the daughter. Do you think they did it in this movie? I don't care about
No.
2018. Well, why would you call her name's Laura, and then she gets a call from someone named Tate?
A Rosemary's Baby nod. Roman Polanski's wife, Sharon Tate. That's it.
Oh, yeah. Actually, that could be.
Okay. That makes
Yeah,
Mr.
you're right.
Nice.
Sharon Tate.
Nice.
Hey, did you hear Paramount was dropping the rights to Rosemary's Baby? My
I
buddy
heard something
Matt
about that.
messaged me last night. He goes, Paramount's are dropping the rights to Rosemary's Baby. So if you don't have the Criterion, buy it now. He's a real big Polanski
I
guy.
better buy
I
it.
already have it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
do I. So I'm just gonna hold on to it and see what happens, I guess. But yeah, that's crazy.
But anyway, I didn't mean to go off. I was like, oh yeah, Rosemary's Baby.
We're going off. Look, I just think. I just want to hop back to the special effects thing. I just feel like if this kid is coming into his own now, I feel like the scenes would have been more effective had each time he fed. Maybe he healed a little, but he still had scars, so you could see his torment throughout. It felt too choppy. Felt like, oh, I'm suffering. I'm in so much pain. I'm fine, mommy. I love you. That's pain. You know what I mean? Like maybe you saw him withering away. You saw the scars on him, and it would have been more horrifying.
Yeah, I could see that, but at the same time, like, I do like the flip from, all scarred up to completely healed and just like happy watching TV and giggling, because
Yeah.
it's like a child that's having a tantrum and you take care of them, like if they're starving or whatever, and you feed them food. They're all of a sudden just like, oh, nothing's wrong. I'm back to being
Yeah,
happy.
he's like, are we staying at so and so's house tonight? No, you just ate her.
Yeah, I think everything that he goes through, he completely forgets happens once he.
Yeah,
feels
I agree with that he does.
Yep,
definitely
he
forget.
acts like it. Yep, he only asks for food when he's in that state. Then he's asking, please.
And he convulses in the movie, much like Samuel did in Babadook.
Yeah.
Full body convulsions in both movies.
right? A little more tie-in.
Wow. Full body convulsions. And somebody having a baby that they maybe didn't want in the beginning of the movie.
Why? Because she said,
exactly.
I don't want you.
Yeah, I don't want you.
So I think she made that pretty clear.
Indeed.
But yeah,
Well-
like I'm kind of curious to see like what everybody's ratings on this one will be.
Yeah, I don't know if there's much else to talk about. I don't have a.
I feel like the scope of everybody who's sort of involved in this and how it builds, it plays like it could have just been her paranoia, but it's clearly not.
Yeah.
This is one where it's like, it's just so obvious. You see people talking. She's not crazy. She was convinced she was crazy and committed to a mental institution because of everything that happened, but she's not crazy. So she's seeing all this. I'm just like, the scope of this is crazy. And that's when I'm like, 10 years? Are you kidding me? How could it take 10 years when everybody in the fucking earth is in on this?
Wouldn't it have been great if they just went the same route of the movie we just saw, and it really is just her gone nuts?
It would. It turns out that she's actually just one of the worms in the Babadook ball.
But no, I thought it was gonna go that route until the story kept unfolding more and more, and like realized, okay, she is not crazy. Like, this is actually happening to her and her son. But I thought it was kind of gonna go that Babadook route a little bit.
Babadook.
Well, maybe we actually did venture it. Maybe I didn't realize it, but maybe I just did a spoiler there. So I apologize.
You ruined it. Way to go. And there's just one scene at the end where I'm just like, are you kidding me? This is such an Omen ripoff and just so cheesy and bad.
I don't know. I kind of dug that ending.
Come on. It's like, I
did too. I just didn't know why.
I'm going to be so much faster than those bullets. Get the hell out of here, this crap. Let me announce what I'm going to do.
I don't know that at all. Shit, I don't even know what you're talking about. Bullets. Well,
yeah, the exact scene that he's talking about, that pretty much like was a resemblance of what happens in the Omen at the very end. With the father and son in the church.
Yeah,
in Omen.
Exactly. It's literally the exact scene.
Yeah. Now, I didn't get you at first. Now, yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
I was just like,
Yeah, you talked me down.
Yeah, I think even me a little bit too. I was trying to.
I never want to talk people down. I never want to talk people down though that enjoy a movie.
No, I want to.
I'm still enjoying it, but like, my rating for it, like I still enjoy the shit out of the movie, but yeah, my rating went down a bit because of it.
Yeah,
it'd be funny if I come in the highest.
Right. Well, I mean, you are acting like you hate it, so it's probably a 7 out of 10 for you.
Yeah, true enough. He's probably higher than both of us, Scott.
What are you talking about, Scott? You hate a movie, it gets 9.5 out of 10. I told Scott I'll only watch movies that he rates 17 out of 10 or higher. I mean,
I think it's good though.
I'll give my rating right now. I'm at a what?
You're at a mild rumble. I know.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah. Yeah, I'm in the mild rumble.
You gotta look it up.
I had it. I'm at a low end of a mild rumble.
And I'm at a low end of a half head.
As am I.
Scott, you broke up there. I think Brandon muted you.
No, I didn't.
Did you mute him?
No.
No, he muted himself.
Somehow I muted myself. Didn't even realize it.
I only muted you, Christian. I didn't mute Scott.
But no, I'm right there with Christian. I'm at the lower end of a half head.
It's so funny. Like, we don't want to give our ratings because we want the year end, but every time we review a movie that we know isn't going to make the list, we sort of like tell what end of it is. So we basically give our exact scores, like, 3 7s and a 5.5.
Yeah. And I hit my mic again, as usual.
You've hit your mic about 17 times today.
Well, I don't even really, unless there's something that needs to be explained in spoilers, I don't even know if we have to go to a spoiler.
I don't honestly think there is. I don't think
no. I say we pretty much talked around it by dancing around it. Yeah.
I just think a lot of people, some of the reviews I read said that the ending ruined it, the big reveal at the end, which again, I kind of
questioning it though.
I questioned it too. It was ridiculous, and I laughed about it. And there's just a line at the end where one character says, "Oh, we can't tell anyone. We got to keep this on the down low." But Daddy's here to see you. Like, are you kidding me? Like. It's so ridiculous and laughable, but I couldn't. I was just like,
you're right. That's true. That is silly. See, but this doesn't bother me. I like when I'm talked down because I like when I can do it to others. When someone thinks something is the cat's ass, and then you talk to them and you go, "Well, wait a minute, you didn't see this problem. this problem and this problem with this movie isn't as good as you think it is. Then I step back and I go, you know what? You're right. This movie isn't as good as I think it is. My rating's going to come down. That's being somebody who can be swayed by a good opinion. By, you know what I mean? Instead of just holding on to your opinions like your balls and saying, I'm not budging for anybody. I respect people that can have their minds changed, or they can change someone else's mind. That's a good thing.
Now that's the cat. Now that's the cat's ass, Dave.
Yeah, it is. I thought it was a sperm, but instead of being so freaking, uptight about your opinion that it can never be changed, that makes no sense. So when anyone can do that, I think it's a great thing. I can be talked up or down, and I try to do it to other people. So I don't know. I think that it shows.
This is funny. Look at this.
Okay, Fred, what the hell you doing? What the fuck is going on?
Look at that.
Like an elephant. I don't know.
Mounted cat's asses.
I think it shows maturity when people can do that. So I don't mind having it's like I always say, if I have my mind changed or my opinion changed, it means I learned something that day.
Right. Yeah, because if I stayed the same and just like said, oh, what you're saying doesn't make any sense and I'm agreeing with you, but I'm like, but my rating still stays the same, it's like, then I didn't. No, that's not how it works.
Yeah, you're being too stingy with your with your rating.
I'm glad y'all hate the movie now.
Yeah, absolutely hate it. So it's totally hate it. Worst film of the year, totally.
Not the worst film of the year.
No, I've already seen 2 or 3 of those that are going to be hard to top.
I bet. Well, we got to be out. I know that much. So, Scott, before we go, do you have anything you'd like to promote?
Or plug, other than Brandon.
Well, I'll say I'll be plugging Brandon later. That's the date that's going on.
Right, my cat butt.
Yeah, I'll bite that ass.
I don't know what is it.
But yes, we are actually Heather and I are actually recording our second part to our remakes episode later tonight, where we're pretty much talking about films that were remade that were one-ofs or just like very popular horror films from the time and being remade, and kind of doing the comparison like we did with our franchise remakes. But you can find me at under Kill the Cast. Just search for Kill the Cast and look for the Friday Nightmares podcast, and that's the show that I do with Heather. We do what we watches. We talk about some podcasts that we listen to. We always pick a topic and then find movies that fit that topic and just kind of have a general discussion of those movies. Not really go into reviews because everyone does reviews and does them better than we probably could. So we just wanted to do something different. And then also coming out very soon, probably by the time this episode is dropped, our first episode of Controllers Up, Cards Down, the All-Star Gaming Podcast will be released. And that'll be found on Legion as well. We'll be under our own feed on that one. So we'll have an audio version and a video version on Legion Podcasts. And then also I am on 2 different shows for Dark Discussions. It is It's Not Horror, Okay, with Heather Powell, Nudie, Android Virus, and Mr. Venom.
Jesus, you're all a bunch of Venoms here. How many fucking shows you got?
And then another one that I do is Is It Really That Bad, which is with Nudie, Android Virus, and Samantha. And we pretty much find a movie that is absolutely horrible and critically bashed, and we watch it and then just make fun of it.
That's what I asked Christian about Friday Nightmares. Is it really that bad?
Well, it's better than any of your jokes.
Oh.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that's all that matters.
But yeah, that is the billion podcast I'm on at the moment. So.
Good for you, man. Good.
We don't allow Nudie's name on the show, so I'll be bleeping that out.
All right, fair enough. I mean, he deserves it.
Yeah. That mean making veal.
Making veal.
Yeah, veal.
All the jokes. Anyway, honestly, it was great having you on. I feel like this feels rushed. I don't know why, but we've gone over 3 hours, but yet I feel like we could talk longer.
Yeah,
but we won't.
Rush because you always have to rush off. Like this guy's like.
Hey, I'm not the one with the 1 o'clock date.
That's true.
That's true. Yeah, we got to get him laid. Oh,
I'm not sure the one who says he has a 1 o'clock date actually has a 1 o'clock date.
I know.
This might be a Babadook. This might be a Babadook situation.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on, because, yeah, I've been wanting to work with all three of you for so freaking long, and being able to have others that can keep Brandon's ass in check while talking about movies is also nice, because unchecked, he's a handful.
Nobody can keep my ass in check.
Sorry to disappoint you, too.
Nope, this was everything I hoped for. I was having a blast. Just
All I heard was you want to check my ass.
Oh, you know I do.
Chickadee check.
That's a smoke show into itself.
I'll be blowing smoke in his ass.
Yeah. Could you do the rings?
Yes.
Can you make the rings right up my butt? And make them come out my mouth?
I'll use you like a pipe.
That's
that sound. That's awesome.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for having me on, because like I said,
Anytime. And when we say anytime, we don't mean Watson anytime, like invite yourself onto every show. we mean wait till we ask you. No, I'm just kidding. Watson's like, okay, anytime. I'm coming on.
I'm hopping on the last 10 minutes of this show. Just talk about something.
Leave Watson alone.
We love Watson.
Hey, if we didn't pick on him, that would mean that he should be worried.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. He knows.
That's true.
Anyway, no, thanks again.
Yeah, thank you. This was a blast, and I look forward to doing this again at some point.
Absolutely.
Scott, when you're with your girl later, think of me.
Oh, Brandon, that's who I'm going on a date with. Even if it's a girl, Brandon's face is what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
In the beanie.
And
Wait,
beanie? You can't say that.
I want that hair sticking straight up.
Straight up, now tell me. Yeah.
Because we really want to live me forever. Anyway, we love you long time.
Hey, we're all gonna get laid.